All right, welcome back to the Field Podcast with Chris Cyr. I'm joined with Hoonigan legend, and on some other things legend, Ron Zaras. So we're going to talk about his entry into Hoonigan, his leaving Hoonigan, and all the other things that he's done. He is part of the Block family now at this point with 43i, the Block family racing, and Leah's own racing adventures as well. So we're going to get into his background, his business, how he found success, some of the struggles and things that he's overcome, and really see if we can learn some lessons so that we can give those to you guys as the listeners and followers of the podcast. So thanks, Ron, for being here.
That was 3 legends in one intro. Like,
Was I?
Man,
I
that's
have a
awesome.
really,
I'll take it.
I have a bad. I get on this keyword and I
do the same
this,
exact thing,
and so the guys have to edit it out half the time.
No, you're good.
So thank you, but legend is appropriate. I think.
I don't know about that. I'm
Yeah.
just a dude at the end of the day that got really lucky with some stuff.
Well, we're gonna hopefully learn how you did some of that and give that to the
For sure.
listeners and viewers here. So, you have an interesting background. So I watched some other podcasts with you, Polish family background.
That's correct. Yep.
So you were the first generation.
Mhm.
And what's it like living in a household like that? In Chicago, it was.
That's correct. Dang,
Okay.
you did your research.
I tried to do a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah, I
I
like
didn't want to
that.
come in
Yeah.
too ignorant.
Yeah, it's funny growing up in that, you just don't know anything else, right? And it was awesome. I mean, I had an amazing family in Chicago. It's pretty much like a second version of Poland. There are actual streets with Polish names. There are
Right.
stores where people just straight up don't speak English. So you have an amazing community out there, and I got to grow up with that. Home cooked meals and all this type of stuff. My dad was a long haul truck driver. My mom worked in hotels, and it was great. And then I go to school, and it was just a different planet. I was like, wait, this is just a completely different culture. I was like, what, you guys don't eat like weird gelatinous soups and like just everything is some kind of bread and meat concoction, like, wow, life is so different. And growing up, that made things a little weird. In grade school and in high school, all you want to do is conform. You want to be like everybody else. Right. Being different means you get picked on, you get called weird, especially back then, man. Like, it was like all you wanted to do is like, you don't want to stand out. You want to be like the rest. And that was a struggle at times, but looking back, like those were the building blocks of how I approached so many things. It's because you have to look at things differently, and different can be better. Different is success to me. Right. So even though that was a struggle at the beginning, like later on in life, that becomes such an advantage.
It's so hard when you're young to have that perspective, and it's something that I have similar struggles in a very different context, but it's being the outcast, being the weird kid in class. You create that steel resolve, right? That
For sure.
we do, and it's something that I think we can push through a lot of the hardships and probably later in life because we've been through it at a younger age, right?
That's right. Yeah.
But it's something that do you remember any specific moments when you're in your upbringing where you were not proud of your background and like you were picked on specifically from that, and like have any stories of that?
Like, I don't know about not proud, but definitely at times hiding it. Like, I just wanted to be an American kid, I wanted to be, football and sports and all that. Like, I wanted to try and learn it, and then I don't know, pretty quick on, I noticed that was just like futile. It wasn't going to improve my life in any remarkable way to just be like everybody else. Yeah. So I started getting into things like BMX and skateboarding and punk music and all that, which now that's pretty normal, being into that stuff. But then I remember wearing skate shoes. I went to grade school and a little bit of high school in Tennessee. And I remember I got this, like, there was this little like dingy skate shop. My mom was like not stoked on bringing me there. I got a pair of Etnies. Put them on. I wore them to school. I was so hyped on them. Everybody's like, what are those couches you're wearing? Everybody was wearing like Birkenstocks and boat shoes and stuff. And I was like, I don't know, man. These are cool. Like, whatever. I don't care. Care a little bit, but like
you're leaning into the difference now at that point.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah. And it was exciting to me to see this other world of things that like I was into, and that was so separate from the stuff I was seeing in school.
Yeah. So Tennessee for a bit.
Yep.
What was the catalyst for that move? What was the reason?
A lot of that was my mom's work. So she went to hotel school in Poland and then came to the U.S. looking for a better life, and just started moving up. And I think her and my dad wanted to make a life outside of the Polish community. It was kind of a similar thing, like the non-conforming thing. Like they want to do something of their own. And my mom got a really great opportunity in Tennessee, working at a place called Opryland Hotel. And she went out there and moved us all. And then my life became, lakes and cliff jumping and ATVs and shooting, and it was awesome. It was great.
Like, good old boy Tennessee style.
Yeah, from like deep city boy stuff to like really like in nature. I lived on 2 acres, not huge, but it was enough land to do some dumb stuff with vehicles in.
That's cool to see your parents take a risk.
Yeah,
right? And that's something a lot of kids don't get the opportunity to see.
Absolutely.
Was there anything from that moment in time, were you scared or were you excited? Do you remember what it was like to be young Ron in those moments? And how did your parents instill their confidence, or they're trying to achieve those goals?
Yeah, at that age, it wasn't that big of a difference because life is so new to you, right? I was like 6 years old, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was bummed to leave a few of my friends behind, but it wasn't like, my lifelong friendship was like,
a whole year older.
Percentage wise, that was a lot of my life. But
sure.
So that transition wasn't too bad.
Okay.
It was cool because I had this huge yard and like so many things to do, and it was rad to see, like you said, watch my parents take a risk and then it pays off. Then later in the middle of high school, I transitioned from Tennessee to New Jersey. That was culture shock. That was crazy. I was not hyped on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom bribed me with some like parts for my BMX bike at the time. I was like, okay, fine. So
you're an angry teenager already.
Oh my god!
Just regardless,
angst,
right,
dude? I was just listening to death metal and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yep. What band were you into at that point? Do you have a favorite band?
Oh gosh, I mean like Malevolent Creation. God, oh man, you're putting me on the spot right. here. No. That was a really big one.
Yeah. Metallica was my gateway drug.
Oh, I mean, for sure.
Down into the deeps of
I mean,
whatever,
Slayer at the time. It's so cliche
that.
Now, but Slayer was huge. The first time I heard Angel of Death, I was like, "Wow, dude, this is everything I'm feeling inside right now."
How did they do it into music?
Yeah. It's just like, bro, you're 13 years old. Angel of Death, really? Like, come on. But at the time,
it just pissed off your parents. That's why it's so good,
for
right?
sure. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
So awesome. All right. So we went to New Jersey. What was the big culture shock there?
Honestly,
just the city life, like going from
just like how the pace, the people, everybody's kind of style, everything. Like, you just get used to one place. Tennessee's a bit slower pace, very kind of sports driven school, very heavily sports driven. If you weren't doing basketball or football, like, you were kind of a nobody, right? And when I moved to New Jersey, I was living just outside of Atlantic City. I started meeting kids that were like a lot more into music and art and some culture stuff, but also like some pretty rough and tumble kids, so just without getting into the weeds on, the types of things that made them rough and tumble, it was an eye-opener, and in high school you're learning a lot about people and stuff, and at times substances, and it's an eye-opener.
You try new things when you're young.
That's right.
So in that household, are you speaking Polish in your house?
Yeah, first language.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your parents, are they at all able to speak English?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
But they want to speak the old language with you.
Correct.
In the family.
We at home we speak it, but they really wanted to learn English as much as possible. So, you kind of mix the two as much as you can.
Okay. So what do you, still looking at your life now, do you boil back to some of the like core tenets of your childhood? What are the things that, Ron today is still because of Ron from the early days? Is there like a few of your like core baseline beliefs from back then, and what are they?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just the fact of getting into cars, right? Like growing up, in that kind of culture, in that household, there were two things that my dad was watching. It was either boxing or motorsports. And I was a really skinny kid. I was not trying to get punched in the face. So motorsports it was. And it was cool because, like, you know, he would go on a long haul truck trip and he would always come back with a matchbox or whatever. The cars, I don't know if they do now. They probably do. But when you flip them upside down, they had, you know, the drivetrain, the horsepower, the name of the car. And I had this just fleet. And I was always, like, reading about them. I like different shapes of different cars, you know. So that was pivotal in me really, like, diving headfirst into that. I always had such a connection to vehicles because of that.
Okay. It's funny how our dads are pretty good at that, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of dad stories are the reason I'm here kind of thing.
Sure.
And so that's a passion of yours.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I think the biggest thing beyond that is just the resolve, you know, like they were, my mom came to this country with $10 in a suitcase.
That's amazing.
And to be able to do what she did out of that, you know, like there's a lot of grit, there's a lot of sacrifice. Every meal was a home cooked meal. I mean, going out to eat was a once a quarter thing, maybe, you know, and that just teaches you a lot of, like, yeah, man, look, if things are down, like, it's fine. Grind it out.
Right.
Start working super hard, get a goal set and achieve it. And, you know, I got to watch both of my parents do that. And, you see the result of sometimes nose to the grindstone, do the thing, and the results will come.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. My wife came from a pretty low income family, and I was a little bit higher class, but not much than her. And it's funny, we've taken really big risks in life, and we've talked about how we are actually not that afraid to go all the way back down there.
Yeah.
But because we're willing to take big risks, and we get the upside of that if and when they pay out. But we know what it's like to live at a low level, and yeah, it sucks for a short period of time, but we're not afraid of it, right? And so that kind of helps our risk profile and some of the things that we've done, and why we're here where we are now in our lives is because of those risks we took back then. Right?
Absolutely.
But because we've also tasted what it's like to be at the bottom for a while.
Yeah, man.
It sucks, but we don't want to be there. But
yeah, and it does get tougher the older you get, right?
Oh,
the
no
older
doubt.
you
Now
get,
that I have kids, there's like
well, that for sure.
higher baseline of what my risk profile is.
And you get used to a certain level of comfort and nice things, and even just you know, stability.
Yeah.
And destabilizing that again. Yeah. It's like, do I want to do this again? But like you said, you know, if you just live in that comfort zone, you might not achieve, you know, a level that you didn't think you'd be able to achieve.
Right. Yeah. And that, we get opportunity to talk to a lot of young people through Team O'Neill and some of the other things that we're involved with. And yeah, it's kind of my lesson that I try to instill in young people, especially when you don't have a lot of anchors. Yeah. Take those big swings, right? You
For sure.
If now's the time, if you're young, to try that. And even if you're older and you've got some stability in your life, like if you want something bad enough, you got to take those chances.
Absolutely agree.
Don't want to be on your deathbed wishing that you would have done something different.
That's it.
Right. Yep. So, New Jersey, when did you get your first job? Like, what was your first paid job?
My very first paid job was quite short. I was mowing lawns in the town of Brigantine, New Jersey. So that's a small island town, 1 mile wide, about 3 miles long. Every lawn is about the size of this studio, right? Maybe a little smaller. So when you're doing lawns, there's a fleet, 3 trucks, 1 dude on a riding mower, and you just bang out houses, boom, 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 one after another. And it was brutal. I mean, midsummer, super humid, and you go in, push mower, dude comes in with a trimmer right after you, and you just hop on the back of the truck again in a pile of grass clippings, and then you take a quick lunch, super hot, and then you just go. And I was not built for that at the time. Definitely not. You know, a couple of days
shoes
of
got
that.
a little dirty. And
Oh gosh,
get you
yeah,
all
dude,
pissed off.
everything was green from, you know, my knees down. And then my mom was working at a casino in Atlantic City, on the hotel side. And I was like, is there anything, like, can I find something in AC, you know, like, and there was a valet job. Not in AC, ironically, it was a lot more movement and a lot more heat and motion and everything. But I got to be around cars, which is pretty damn cool.
Yeah, better than riding lawnmowers.
People bring some wild things to casinos, so I was like, yeah, this is sick. And you get paid under the table. It was pretty cool. So truly my first like real paid job, I would say, was valet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. How long did you do that for?
Couple summers. I want to say 3 summers in a row.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you were in
that.
high school at that time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, high school, and then that was all through high school. Yeah, and then I went to college after that.
Okay. Were you driving a car yourself at that point, or what was
At the very
transport?
end of that? So I was just driving a Dodge Stratus, sagey champagne colored Dodge Stratus. It had leather and AC and a bump and sound system. I was pretty down with it. It wasn't cool at all.
My wife's first car, Dodge Stratus.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We drove it from Yuma, Arizona to Wyoming for college, where we were together. Yeah.
V6 or the inline 4?
I think it was the 4.
Okay, yeah.
Honestly, didn't even look. Didn't care. It was just a mode of transport.
Sure, yeah. We got our CPO and it had the V6, and I'll tell you what, I was surprised some Hondas.
No, it definitely had the 4. Okay. It was
all
not.
right. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we, whatever switch it is, where the idler would stop working, so you had to left foot brake that car to keep it running, and it was an automatic,
dude.
So my wife actually learned left foot braking from the beginning, because her piece of crap car wouldn't drive without left foot constant gas on.
I love that. I love that about old cars, and just like when you have to do a very, very used car, each one has its little quirks like that. Yeah. So that's what I was taking to and from work, and it was right around that time that Speed Channel started playing the World Rally Championship on TV.
Yep.
And I was enamored.
Yeah.
Like absolutely taken.
Yep.
And this thing started happening where that was playing on TV. And then, the Turbo WRX came stateside.
Was that 2005-ish?
2002.
Oh, 2. Okay.
2002 was the bug eye.
Yeah.
The first time the US got a turbo Subaru model. So we had the GC8, the GM8. But the first turbo car we got was right around that time. So I'm watching, Petter Solberg go through Monte Carlo and, the super narrow roads. And I just, if that was on, like no homework, no chores, no nothing, like that was my time, and I was watching that. So that's awesome. I decided, I'm working valet, I'm getting paid under the table. To be honest, it was really like great tips we were getting.
I bet.
So I was like, I'm saving up for one of those things. Absolutely, 100%. Whatever I do, I have to have a Subaru, a turbo Subaru. I want to be a rally driver.
Nice.
And that last year I'd saved up enough to put a down payment on a lease, and I'm dating myself, but I got a 2005 WRX. My lease was $195 a month. Sick at the time.
Wow.
That still felt like a lot, It still felt like a decent buck.
I feel like we're like those old guys from 1960.
Oh yeah,
$500 I bought a Mustang.
33 cents a gallon, man. Yeah, no, 100%. I hate how quickly that happens.
Right.
And yeah, then I got this dream. Dude, the first day I had that thing, I could not get out of it. I just burned through multiple tanks of gas just driving down, terrorizing the entire lower part of New Jersey. Any road I could find, any gravel, anything. That thing barely had gone through break-in miles. I was finding gravel roads, sandy roads. I was putting that thing through its paces, man.
That's awesome.
It was a dream.
It
was a dream.
Cool. What color was it?
World Rally Blue.
Okay.
Yep.
Of course.
Yep.
Gold rims or
no?
Because
it was a WRX.
Okay.
So it had this 05 had these horrible 16-inch wheels, these like really rounded spoke things. But you know what? I ran them. I had a Subaru. It didn't matter.
That part didn't matter.
Yep.
It's funny. The real rally guys care a lot less about that, right? Like,
oh, totally.
It's the rally enthusiast that cares about the mud flaps and the paint job and whatever, the stickers. But it's like the real rally guys, who cares what the outside looks like?
Oh, for sure.
It's the inside.
Give me that drivetrain. I want those diffs. I want that turbo.
Right.
Yeah.
They know the difference. It is a funny thing, and there's a lot less of those, it seems, when I interact with people in the real world.
Yeah.
There's a lot of enthusiasts, and
yes,
there's the few that actually realize what matters or what's the difference.
Yeah.
The Evo versus the STI conversation, and it's like, arguably the Evo was the better platform.
I mean,
for
it's
rally.
not that hard to argue.
But
I love my Subarus.
I do too.
I love everybody.
Oh,
Subaru.
I'm a GC. The reason I'm here, similar thing.
Yeah.
But it's like I didn't get into the Evos and the Evo thing, but like
at the time, I mean, the Evo, not to
or deviate, but that's okay.
but
I love it.
Oh man, the Evo had the most horrible interior. It was
Right.
like a 93 Tercel, and like it was a tin can, and the safety rating was abysmal.
Right.
But man, the suspension, the diffs, the engine, like
Right.
that whole package
Right.
in that era, that like 2003 to 2006 was hard to beat.
Right.
Hard to beat.
If you cared about driving.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Cool. So valet parking for 3 years. What did you learn doing the valet parking job? Like, what was kind of the struggle, sacrifice? What did you do during that time?
I learned left foot braking in other people's cars.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's
Part of
like
that,
Team O'Neill. Really, that is like the story of Team O'Neill.
the building blocks.
You know, you
Yeah.
come to Team O'Neill to learn in other people's cars.
For sure. Yeah. My advice is always never valet your car if you care about it. Yeah. If it's a rental, that was my biggest takeaway is like, just don't valet your car if you care about it, because things happen, man. Things happen. I am guilty of it. You know, like I was a different person at 18 than I am now. But you know, at the same time, like I had started watching this show called Initial D, which was an anime about drifting.
Yep.
And I loved how detailed they were about heel toe downshifts and ditch hooks and like all these things. And I'm like, I want to learn how to heel toe.
Right.
So every day, all day, if it was a manual car coming around the corner, you know, just like trying to learn all those skills.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. Struggles, I wouldn't say there really were any other than just physically. Like it was a really demanding job, you know. You're running around in the heat. Like it wasn't a multi-story parking, it was all underground. So it was like a 1/4 mile long each way, huge lot, and you would have to run, you know. And also I think interacting with just every walk of life that you can imagine.
Yeah.
From a family coming in from Germany to, you know, some multi-millionaire like coming in a Bentley and 3 chicks. Like you see all walks of life coming into a casino.
Right.
And it was so cool interacting with each one of them, even the bad ones. You know, you learn so much from the horrible people.
Sure.
And like what they
How
drive
not to
and
treat
whatever.
other humans.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. You see people in like, you know, like a 3-year-old Corvette that think they're, you know, #1 on planet Earth. And then you see a guy in a Windstar with like 3 panels hanging off, but he's a high roller and he gives you $100 tip, and you're like, bro, what? You know, like that whole, there's
dichotomy
so
of what?
much humanity in valet at rapid fire it was a pretty cool lesson in life.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Huh, that's amazing. That's, you know, another thing that interacting with young people, we all have dreams as young people, and you just got to start somewhere, right? You gotta
for
go
sure.
get a job, and you had a passion for cars, and that one passion was able to connect a little bit and keep you working, right? And learn those lessons so that you can use that for the next thing eventually.
Definitely.
When the next door opens. So what was the next door? What was the thing after valet?
So then I started, what was I doing? After
Did you do
going into college.
Okay.
Went to Monmouth University, Harvard by the Sea in New Jersey, as we called it. It was a college right by the beach. I got like a very mild scholarship to it, just from grades and stuff. So that was where I went. You know, it wasn't anything like super crazy. I went to school for PR journalism. That was kind of like a, you know, in our communications program, that was a thing. And I started learning quickly, even back then, that journalism was not where you make your money, right? Journalism was not a well-paying job. And so I was like, all right, cool. I'll get into PR. Like, I want to make money to buy cars, right? And race cars and do all those things. And I'll never forget, I went into, this is so situational. PR is cool. Like, there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with it. But we did a field trip into New York City, and we went to this PR firm. And it was just this super sterile cube farm. And I'll never forget, I walked past this guy's desk, and he had this apple on a napkin. And the apple was such a sad looking piece of fruit. And this dude was just like devoid of life, staring at a screen. I was like, yo, PR is not for me. I don't want to be in this situation. Like, I don't want to be in a fluorescent cube farm. Like, being that dude with, I don't know, maybe I would have like a super bruised banana. Like, not for me, right? So at that moment, I was like, I have to find something else. Like, maybe journalism is the thing. I know how to write. I'm terrible at math. So let's just start looking at car magazines. So I would go to the newsstand, every car mag I could find. I'm like, because I had to get an internship at the time. You know,
Okay.
I'm in college.
Okay.
For points, you have to get an internship.
Okay.
So I'm like thinking, like racking my brain. What am I going to do? Where am I going to work? I was opening up car magazines based in Florida, based in California, based in Michigan. And I opened up this one mag. Really nice, big, beautiful photos, nice paper, 0 to 60 magazine. I opened the masthead, New York City. I'm like, well, that's a quick train ride from where I was in New Jersey. I'll send him an email. I sent Brian Scotto an email saying, hey, I'd really like to work at a car magazine. I love cars. I wrote this whole thing.
Right.
And then Brian's coworker replied, not even Brian. And he's like, yeah, man, come in for an interview next week, this time. And I went, I interviewed. I wasn't annoying enough at the time for them to turn me away. So I interned at 0 to 60 magazine in New York City.
That is amazing. So you're in school. How far along are you in school at
This was my junior year.
Okay.
Junior year. No, sorry. Senior year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's go back a little before then.
Okay.
So what were you doing post doing the valet parking, and before, like, were you doing anything else for money? Were you
Yeah. Sorry, I skipped over that
that's
part.
okay.
Yeah, mostly. So, during the school year, you're doing school stuff.
Right.
I started working at restaurants. I found a place in the town I was in New Jersey, a cool dockside restaurant. And I went in, and they were just starting up, brand new build and everything. And they needed people. So I was like, I have zero restaurant skills. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm down to work. And so I started in the kitchen.
Wow.
The co-owner of the place, I guess, took some kind of liking to me and took me under his wing. So I started doing expediting in the kitchen, which is where a bunch of orders come in, and your steak is going to take longer to do than your seafood dish, and your lobster has to be fired at this time. And so you're kind of this MC of food. So I would work side by side by this guy, and it was a pirate ship, that place. Like, really nice up front, and the kitchen was like, oh my god,
I bet that's what most places are like.
Absolutely.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I've never had to work in a kitchen, but
yeah. Later on, you read like Kitchen Confidential, something like that, and you're like, oh wow, this is all of them. Yeah. But again, like, a lesson in humanity, a lesson in people. A lot of, like, it was really hard work. Like, the place was super busy, but it was great. And it was a job at the time. So I stayed working in that restaurant, did a bunch of different things, moved on to bartending, because that paid for my car stuff at the time.
Sure.
In that period, I really got into autocross, because when I did get that Subaru, it came with a 1-year SCCA subscription. Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah.
It was a whole incentive.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? Look up the website. There's SCCA events happening, right by you.
Yeah.
This is the North Jersey region.
Right.
So I showed up, and I didn't need anything but myself in a car to just go around some cones really fast.
Yeah.
I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, you feel like almost a rally driver at that point.
Yeah. Like, you don't have to do stuff illegally on the street and, like, always be looking over your shoulder. Like, you could go flat out, full throttle, full braking, everything.
Yep.
You're only doing like 40 miles an hour. But
at
the
that
time,
age and with that experience.
Yeah, totally.
Feels...
And the consumables on the car aren't that bad. But then you start moving up. You're like, well, I need a better tire. And because of that, I need better wheels. Well, now I need suspension. So bartending was helping me, like, already feed that black hole of money, which is racing.
Right. How are you able to balance, like, your school responsibilities? Are you not working much during school to focus on school? Was
Correct.
school a priority for you? Like,
what
was
man,
your
I
life
don't know.
like at that time?
It was a debaucherous time for sure.
Okay.
My friend group was. I mean, I love all those dudes. It was a mix. The balance was partying and school.
Okay.
Right. And
Journalism majors, you guys seem to like hang out a lot.
Yeah, and New Jersey at the time,
Okay.
and that school in general is great for social things.
Sure.
So yeah, it was a balance of I wasn't working during the school year.
Okay.
I wouldn't say school was a priority.
But you were getting passing grades. And,
Yeah,
able
absolutely.
to
Yeah, it
maintain.
was kind of always one of those things that, you start out the year kind of strong and then you fall off in the middle and you're like, oh, I got to pick it back up. So that was kind of the story of that.
Yeah.
But then a kind of a pivotal moment, again, that like risk-taking thing was there was a study abroad program at my school. And I didn't seek it out or anything like that, but a couple of my roommates at the time were talking about doing it. They're like, it was Australia.
Oh, cool.
And they're like, dude, study abroad. Like, let's go. Let's do this thing. It's going to be super rad. And they convinced me to go. And then for whatever reason, they all dropped out. One of them because of a girlfriend. One of them because he just didn't want to go. Like, he didn't want to leave for that long.
Right.
It was a 6-month program. And so I had everything in motion to go. And I remember going to my cousin's wedding in Chicago at the time. And I was talking to this random dude, like a guy that I'd never met in my life before. And I don't know why. Just the conversation came up. I'm like, oh, man, I'm on the fence about doing the study abroad thing. Like, all my friends were going, and now none of them are. I don't know anybody that's going there. And he's like, dude, are you crazy? He's like, do you know how old you are? He's like, do it. He's like, take that risk. He's like, what's going to happen if you stay? The same people are still going to be there. Like, go do it. Dude, just go balls deep. And who cares? It's better that you know nobody.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. Maybe. I guess you're right. And for whatever reason, I decided to go. And that changed so much for me. That whole experience. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I got to get into that. What did you take away from that experience?
It was my first time being overseas on my own.
Okay.
Right. So it's a lot of personal responsibility, personal growth.
Yeah.
And also just
because in Jersey you still have the families close by and
not really. I moved out
no?
of the house at 18.
Okay.
So I guess that doesn't fully track.
But they're close.
They're close.
Right,
Yeah.
so-
I was like an hour and a half from home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now
so
you're
I could go
a continent
anytime.
away, or
Yeah,
you're
really far.
You're literally the other side of the world from New Jersey and Australia.
Totally.
Okay.
And I think it was more so leaving like my core friend group that I was really like latched onto, and that was kind of my crutch in a way. And coming out there and making another friend group and really like, yeah, you're in it. It's a completely different culture, Yeah. And also while I was out there, I got a flyer for something called rallyschool.com.au. I was like, yeah, doing that. I'll eat ramen noodles for the rest of my stay here. I'm spending the money for that rally experience. And it was just like a half day, like go around in some rally cars. But funny enough, you have no idea at the time, but I met people there that I would later on end up interacting with and hanging out with in my rally career. So Molly,
You tried to skip this story for Brian Scott. This is way
I know,
cooler.
yeah.
than that.
I'm so ADD, man. I'm like, yeah, this happened, then that, but then this.
So do you remember who did you meet there? Do you remember?
So Molly Taylor
Okay.
was one of the instructors.
Yeah.
And so I sit in this car, and there's this chick that's younger than me and smaller than me, and just ripping this Evo around, just like sunning me in a car. And I'm like, what? So, okay, yeah. And she's like, yeah, you're doing this wrong, try this, try that. And then Brendan Reeves,
Right.
He was also there at
Who's
the time.
Rihanna's brother.
Yes, yeah, Brendo. And and just that whole Aussie rally scene, they were all kind of involved with that.
Yeah.
So that was a really cool experience. I got my photo in a World Rally Blue, Subaru on
What year
gravel
was
tires. This was 2007.
Okay.
Yeah, 2007. And then that was an amazing experience, and came
And
back
just a
with
half day.
Yeah, just a half day.
Was this kind of your first actual touch in a rally car?
First
though?
time ever.
Okay.
Yeah. First time seeing gravel tires. First time
Right.
seeing a roll cage. First time like any of that. That was my first time dipping the toes. I never really even thought about that. But yeah, that was my first time really like getting a taste of what rally
With
was.
rally legends of this
Yeah,
era, right?
totally.
Without even knowing it,
Yep.
which is amazing.
Yep. And it was such a humble kind of setup. Like,
Well, in
it was
2007, they don't even know who they're going to be yet either.
yeah,
right? So,
for sure. And the school was just like literally a small admin building, And the course was really just a dirt oval with
Right.
some infield.
Right.
That's it. But it didn't matter. I mean, it was the cars that, you know, I was idolizing.
That's
And they were
amazing.
making all the noises that I always wanted to hear. And, it
And
was
those
there in
drivers
front
are
of me.
able to put them to their paces
Yeah.
and really like
Yeah.
give you good coaching.
And so that was like, if there wasn't already a fire inside about stage rally, like that was, man, that was it.
That is so cool.
The first time feeling like slip angle and power at the same time. I was like, bro, this is nuts. Oh my God, this just demolishes anything on pavement, you know?
All right, so where were you living in Australia? Was that like you go into Sydney and like hang out there, or where were you at?
No, we were just outside of Sydney, and we were in this Olympic village. So, you know, they build these like, not temporary housing, but it might as well be
Right.
these like villages where the athletes live.
Right.
And afterwards they, you know, use them for students or, you know, low income housing, whatever. So we were in the Sydney Olympic Village. Yeah. Little paper thin wall apartments.
Doing a study abroad, so you have like school responsibilities
Yeah.
and some sort
Yeah.
of stuff you got to get
Oh
done.
man, and that an eye opener there was how much school matters to people there. So here in the US, college is just a thing you do. You
Right.
have to, right?
Right.
Like that's part of the business of what college is now. Is like, yeah, if you don't go to college, you're not going to make it anywhere. Or at least that was the mindset
Especially
at the time.
before 2008.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I go to Australia and like everybody's studying super hard and everybody's really smart and the curriculums are like, whoa, I actually have to pay a lot of attention or I'm just going to get lost. And
Okay.
I found out that was because in Australia you don't really have to go to college to make a living, right? There's a great, you know, trades apprenticeship program. There's all different paths that you could take. University is like, yeah, that's an investment. And if you're there, like you better make that
Be
count.
serious.
Yeah. And not that it made me take my education, unfortunately, a lot more serious, but that was an eye opener of, you know, that difference in culture.
I didn't understand that. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're still focused on journalism PR at that time.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And there were some cool classes I took out there, like international communications and, you know, all these different kind of things that you don't realize at the time, but is going to help you out so much later in life.
Right.
Because, you know, Australia is a very, not that the US isn't, but, you know, you can be in business in the US and just be dealing in America, where in Australia, everything is very international.
Right.
And so learning those skills, even just picking up on a few small things, ended up paying dividends later in life.
I love, you know, for me, boiling down a little bit of what we just spoke about, the guy with the apple and the guy at your wedding. Like, there's these key moments in life that we, as we get older, we can reflect back at these whys in the path, right? You got left or right, red pill, blue pill opportunities, right? And so like you have two of those pretty early on that really help shape the moment till you sent the email. So we can jump forward now. So let's get to
on that real quick.
Yeah,
It's funny because at the time, it doesn't seem like much. Like, yeah, it's a decision to make, and then you make it and you go, and then you look back, and you're almost like, whoa, what would have happened if I didn't do X or didn't do that?
Right.
You know, it's a wild thing to think about that way. But yeah, those are those pivotal moments that you don't know at the time are pivotal.
Yeah. No, and having some sort of guideline to like, should you take those risks and chances, and you know, talking to people and sharing that with their experience. It's a lot of things that people can miss out on that, and that's what we don't want to have happen to people listening and everyone. That's how I got here as well. Right?
Yeah,
like some small decisions made some big chances.
Yeah, and I think the rule of thumb there is if it feels scary, it's probably the way to go.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so talking about sending the email, you are in that moment. You're looking through those newspapers. I want to hear a little bit about the email you wrote. Was it a long email? Did you try to write an email they think would be cool or funny?
Man.
Could you remember crafting that email?
100%. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Oh man. So at the time, I thought that being an automotive journalist, you have to be a very qualified driver to do so.
Okay.
I'll tell you right now, that is absolutely not the case in any way, shape, or form. So my resume was much less of any like journalistic accomplishments that I had, and more like
driving accomplishments.
I got PAX at North New Jersey region SCCA in 2007. I was fastest overall, and like all this stuff. I took this rally school in Australia, and I was top of class. It was a one-day experience, like it was. But I listed all these driving accolades. And then later, it's so funny, like those dudes, Matt Tasillo and Brian Scotto, were two guys that ended up being at my wedding. And Matt spoke at my wedding. You don't know at the time. But they're like, whatever, man. It's an internship. Like, if you can spell and you can communicate in any way, like, and you're not just an absolute nuisance, like, yeah, you're probably fine. But you don't know that, So I sent this whole driving resume. I wore my Puma Speed Cats to the interview. I'm like, I'm about this life. Yeah. And I go into the interview, and those two are just talking about turducken, because at the time turducken was a big thing. And they were talking about their technique and the bacon wrap in the stove. And I'm sitting there in this chair. I'm like, am I failing this interview right now? Like, what is happening? And then like at the end of it, they're like, all right, you know how to write? I'm like, yeah, kind of. They're like, all right, cool. Yeah. You start tomorrow. Yeah, cool. Yeah. All right. I guess that went well. I don't know. I have no idea. You just don't know how loose so many workplaces are until you start going into them. Yeah. Or at least in that field. I don't know. The financial world is probably a lot different. And, real jobs are probably different.
My entry into Team O'Neill is almost mirrored exactly.
Oh, yeah.
To that. A little bit different. But when I sent my email, I thought Team O'Neill was super cool, had a profile. Yeah. I had trained Ken and Travis and all my idols. And like, so I break down the interview, or talking about Liam Neeson when he's like, I have all these special sets of skills, and I like break down all my business accolades and all the things that I could do for Team O'Neill. And Tim calls me the next day, and I start talking with him, and it's like getting a call from my idol, because I know who Tim O'Neill is at this point. Sure. And I come up and I buy my first piece of flannel because I can get the vibe. It's a rural community, so I wear flannel to my interview because I could just like get the vibe and feel. And I remember finally working my first day at this school, and Wyatt Knox is there, and he's like, Ken showed up actually the day 2 of my employment at Team O'Neill.
Really?
And I'm like giddy and nervous and sweating like crazy. And Wyatt's like, he's just a normal guy, right? Like, and I'm just like, it's untouched, untapped, like people that you can't ever access when you're that person.
And then they're there.
And then they're there normal, and it's like totally different of what the reality is, right?
That's really cool. I might have been there that day.
You probably were.
Yeah.
I actually have tons of pictures. I'll go back, look back. I thought I was going to be a photographer someday, and so I always took a bunch of pictures of all that stuff. But let's get back to you. So you're there. What was do you remember the first thing you wrote? Like, what did they have you do? Like, what was the actually intro into?
Oh man, the first story was great. It was, such a wild thing to be a part of. So they were like, Scotto was saying, all right, I got an idea. Press car, Audi R8. They had access to like the brand new R8. And he's like, let's give the intern an R8 and just free reign and see what he does. Let's see what he gets into. And that's the story, written from the intern's perspective. I was like, bro, what? Like, I can't afford this if I crash it. He's like, doesn't matter. It's a press car. He's like, there's insurance for that. I'm like, oh, man, okay. What do I even write? What do I even do? He's like, it's what we hired you for. Like, you got to come up with that. And so I was like, okay, what does a college kid do with access to an R8? Number one thing you do is you drive to school and you tell all your friends that you got a new car, right? Well, and stepping back, he's like, you have 24 hours with this car. Oh, shit. That's it. After 24 hours, you have to come back here and you have to return it. Starting in New York City. I don't care where you go. I don't care what you do. As long as it comes back here in 24 hours, or you crashed it. And he's like, if you crash it, honestly, better story. I was like, I don't know what that means. Am I supposed to crash it on purpose? Like, what is that part of the thing? So I made up this whole thing as like, what does an idiot college kid do with access to a supercar? It's like, I am going to find the nearest drive-through liquor store to me, which happened to be in North Carolina. I think it was called Brew Through. And I was like, oh, perfect. That's like around 12 hours away, 12, 13, something like that. So I was like, ultimate adventure. First stop, school, tell all my friends, yeah, sold the WRX, bro. I got this. check it out. Like this whole crowd of kids in our college courtyard, like,
Yeah.
bro, what? That's crazy. And that's like, no, not really. It's for a story. So leave there and just go on this epic trip. It was me and a photographer, just the two of us. I barely knew this dude. His name's Andrew Link. Phenomenal photographer. I love Andrew. And we rode along, and I was like, we are not sleeping until we get back, because I don't know when I'm ever going to be able to drive an R8 again. This is amazing. And we did it. We just cannonballed this drive through Virginia back roads. I remember at one point we're doing, I'm not going to say the mile per hour because I don't know statute of limitations, but a lot.
60.
Yeah.
60
Yeah. 60. Yeah.
Top of speedometer, 60.
And seeing deer just crossing the road in our headlights, like, full stop. Within 5 minutes of driving, I got a ticket in the Lincoln Tunnel for going too fast. I learned it was on snow tires at the time. For whatever reason, I learned how to do donuts in an R8. Passed by Gravedigger's shop on the way down. I had no idea. We're just like driving through rural wherever, North Carolina, and I see just this like dimly lit building, and we pull up just to stop for a break, and I look inside, and it's Gravedigger, like the actual truck and all the shocks and everything. I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm on a different planet right now, you know? We make it to the drive-through liquor store. We don't get any booze because, you know, we're way too tired. Just stock up on Red Bulls. At the time, they had Red Bull Cola, which was rad. And then just make our way back and just get in the car on a ferry and getting photos on the highway. And it was just this epic trip.
That's super cool.
Ended up being 27 hours, which was fine. So 27 hours, one ticket.
Were you sweating a bullet, though?
2 times
like,
pulled over.
He said 24 hours, and you're like, oh.
I'm like, oh my God, they're going to be so mad. It wasn't mad at all. I could have had that thing for 2 days.
Sure.
But that was my very first story. It was 0 to 60 magazine, yeah.
How many words was that?
It was just a sidebar.
Okay. Really? All of that?
Yeah, it was like a sidebar. We gave the intern. He didn't crash it, whatever. Yeah, but
Nice.
It was cool. And then my second one was how to do the Nürburgring on the cheap and then on the expensive, because I just wanted to go out there. It was a dream of mine to do. And I paid my own way to go do it.
Oh, wow.
And did a quick story on how
Nice.
to experience the Nürburgring 3 different ways.
Nice. Wow, that's like a model YouTube still uses today.
Totally. Yeah, 100%.
And you just like fell into that.
leverage whatever outlet you have to do the things that you really want to do. And
Yeah.
oddly enough, I'm going to throw a name out there which gets different reactions from different people, but this man called Bill Caswell told me later in life that story inspired him to go race at the Nürburgring, which was a cool thing.
Bill Caswell is the very first rally car I ever got to drive.
No way.
Because we were at Snowdrift, and Wyatt is good buddies with him,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm the general manager at Team O'Neill. I'm like, still trying to figure out my life and figure out what rally is and figure out how it all works. And we're sitting at whatever little, Atlanta, Michigan bar or whatever it is. And
Yep.
Wyatt's telling him my story, and I'm like, yeah, I still haven't actually driven a rally car. That's bullshit. He's like, get in the car right now. It's this 328i or whatever it was,
Yeah,
his BMW.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, now I'm going back and forth down the street in the snow in his rally car. So
That's Bill, man. Bill is wild. Bill is a legend.
Yeah.
Love that dude.
So I've got more good than bad Bill stories, but
Yeah,
he's had
yeah.
a crazy
Good.
life. So
He has.
I hope you're doing all right, Bill.
Yeah.
But no, that's funny.
Yeah.
So how long were you at 0 to 60, and when was the transition to the Hoonigan thing?
So I interned there for a couple months, and
Okay.
then they were like, yeah, I mean, you're fine enough. So they hired me at the wild salary of $27,000 a year. The janitor was making more than I was at the time, and I could not be more thrilled.
Sure.
Because I was just like, at the time, I had already moved out of college housing. I moved into my own spot in Jersey, and I was making $27K a year, but I was bringing home Corvette ZR1, M5. Like, everybody in my neighborhood thought I was a drug dealer because it was a very cheap apartment with a lot of very high priced machinery out front. And so I got to drive all these press cars, Ariel Adam at Lime Rock.
Wow.
Every edition of STI you can imagine. Like, it was an unbelievable experience. It did not matter. You could have paid me $3 a year. I still would have done it.
Yeah. And what were the challenges you were facing at that time? Like, was it super hard deadlines all the time, or were you young enough and just excited enough like it didn't really matter? Like what
Challenges were creative. So
okay.
everybody there was so good at story and writing and concept, and they had so much experience. I mean, we had this guy Richard Chang who like really was an instrumental person at the beginning of Super Street magazine. And then we had Mike Spinelli who started Jalopnik, and then Scotto, who's just a creative force and always has been as long as I've known him. And so you're in this room of hyper talented people that are just wild and can knock out these good stories, and everything they write is so good, and everything I would write would come back dripping red ink, which I later learned that was anybody, right? Yeah. That's great creative comes in a community like that. It never really happens from just one person. But at the time, getting feedback like that, harsh feedback, like, this is a dumb sentence, why would you write that? You know, like it was not sugar coated in any way. And so there was this stress of everything you write has to be good. Every concept you come up with in the meeting room, it's got to be good. You know? And so I felt so behind on what was cool and how to write really well and do all these things. So I could not let go of this job. Like the access to these cars and these events and these people, like the stress of just doing good was pretty real, you know?
How many people were there?
The staff was about 6 core people on 0 to 60. But the funny thing was that was a quarterly magazine. That was kind of the passion project.
Okay.
The magazine that paid the bills was called Rides. And Rides was every 2 issues a month. No, sorry. 1 issue every 2 months.
Okay.
And that was donks, lowriders, big rims, stuff that I would have never been into in my life. I had zero interest in, but that's what paid the bills. So most of the year we were working on Rides magazine, and then 0 to 60 was like the dessert. That was the treat. That was the cool stuff we got to work on at the end.
Who was paying the bills? Who was
advertisers.
Okay.
So yeah, the Harris Publications was the parent company, and they put out a lot of different magazines, anything from like hip hop magazines and culture mags like XXL to dog news. You know, like the breadth of what they did was huge. And the cool thing is that you share graphics guys and you share copy editors and all that. So when I say that core team of 5, really it was a whole building of people. The infrastructure was there, but the ones that worked on Rides and 0 to 60 was about 6 of us.
Okay. Was there like annual reviews? Was there like communication on your actual performance? Like,
oh man, I mean, nothing traditional.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
it's
like live and die by the issue,
work.
Live and die by the story.
Okay.
Yeah, just work getting destroyed all the time and deadlines and everything. But it was kind of one of those things that like when you were in, you were in. You would get wrecked. You would get wrecked in the room, your ideas, whatever. But at the same time, you would get lifted up on a pedestal if you had a good one.
Okay.
You know, so, and at the end of the day, nobody was there to be mean. Nobody was there to like just put
through
you down.
the time of like the coddling part.
Yeah. Everybody just wanted to make the best possible product they could make in that magazine. They wanted that magazine to be the absolute best. And that was a huge driver and a huge like community thing, where nobody was like stabbing each other's back to move up in position or get, you know, a better title or get a pay raise. All we cared about, what's the best story and how can we beat Road and Track and how can we beat Motor Trend, you know, as the underdogs. Like that's what really bound us.
Did you ever have distractions during this time? Was there anything else that could have pulled you away? Or were you so locked in and so busy? Like, was there anything else going on in your life at that point?
I would say previously, just partying and like that kind of, you know, self-destructive lifestyle was definitely a distraction. And this was the thing that kind of like really gave me a reason to focus more, to not be, you know, hungover every other day and, you know, go to the bar until 4 a.m. I was like, oh man, I got to write this story. Like, oh, that's lame, you know? But I cared more about this thing. I cared more about being in that world and doing well in that world, that once I got there, all I cared about was doing better and writing better stories.
Did you ever feel at any point you were gonna be fired? Was there ever like a point where?
I mean, at that time, probably, especially at the beginning, like every other day.
Really?
Yeah.
Eggshells constantly.
Yeah, man. No matter what, like you get feedback that's harsh on a thing that you worked really hard on.
Yeah.
Like you're like, this is my last one. Like it's just, oh man, it's my fourth story and they still don't love it right off the bat. Like I'm done.
Yeah.
And it wasn't true at all, but that's the feeling
Just
you
the
get.
feeling.
Yeah.
That's hard to. I wonder how you could placate that otherwise, but I think that's just that industry, and
Yeah, absolutely. And in my opinion, obviously I'm biased because that's what I came up in, but good creative doesn't come from yes men.
Yeah.
Good creative doesn't come from second pass. Yeah, that's great.
Good enough.
Done. Send it. That's not how good creative happens. Good creative gets manipulated and changed and broken down and built up again. And sometimes you go in a giant circle of breaking and building and rebuilding, and then you're back at the beginning of the original thing you did. And you're like, why did we just do that? But you have to. That's the process. The creative process is like that.
One thing I'm surprised by this conversation so far is how much you did before the Hoonigan thing, right? Like it almost, I didn't know a lot about your background or your story, right? But like you paid your bills, you cut your teeth really deep before you got there, right?
In a way, yeah. And that was actually a short timeline. That was only about a year and a half, but it was so much. It was so intense. Like I just couldn't. All I wanted to do was that.
Okay.
That I just learned as much as possible from that time.
Okay. So talk about the transition. So when did Ken come into your life, or Hoonigan, or how did you get away from 0 to 60?
So Ken first came into my life via this thing called YouTube, which was in its infancy at the time.
Okay.
I remember a friend of mine, Dave, he was really into the rally stuff, and I started getting into it. I was watching X Games already because of the BMX stuff. And when I saw that Travis Pastrana was doing rally, I was like, dude, that's so cool. And my buddy was like, yeah, but there's this other guy, Ken Block. Look at his car. Look at his liveries. And he just did this video called Gymkhana. I was like, all right, whatever. I'll check that out. And I watched Gymkhana. I was like, no way. Like all the stuff, like the little tidbits that you really love out of rally, the super sideways, donuts when you win. He was doing all that in a concentrated video that felt like a skate film. So that was my first intro. So Ken was already kind of a hero to me. Like he was already on a pedestal in like 2008.
Yeah.
And then when I went to 0 to 60, Scotto was really close with Ken already. They had done Gumball Rally together. And if you watch Gymkhana practice, the first Gymkhana ever, the intro says as seen in 0 to 60 magazine, because it was a feature story that they did about Gymkhana. So I was like, dude, Ken. Oh, that's so sick. And so throughout all that time, Brian was showing me like all these things he was doing with Ken. And then Scotto started having this side conversation with me. He's like, hey, Ken's thinking about doing like more than just being a gentleman racer. He wants to really do it. He wants to do WRC. He wants to start a team. And then eventually Scotto was like, hey man, just letting you know, like I'm leaving 0 to 60 to go work with Ken. He made me an offer. And at the time I was like, oh man, that sucks. Like, wow, what's going to happen to like my access to press cars, and who's going to demolish my stories? Like who's going to run this ship? So he left, started working on Ken's program, started building the Ford relationship and all of that. And I started moonlighting because I was like, that's a boat that I'm not going to miss.
Right.
Like I have to be a part of that.
Right.
I don't care how, but I have to. So I would commute from New Jersey. It was about an hour and a half to 0 to 60 in New York, a bus, a train, and then walking. I would work most of the day at 0 to 60. And then 5 p.m. would come around. I would take a train to Brooklyn to Scotto's house to then work till midnight on Ken stuff. So there was a period of time of about a month, 2 months, where I was getting some freelance cash. I mean, it was, whatever, barely anything, but I was working on Ken Block stuff.
Nice.
And I was destroying myself. I was like not sleeping. I was still bartending to, make ends meet, to pay rent. But didn't matter, dude. Like I was in this world. I was doing the thing. And then Scotto was like, I think you're ready to come out to a round of WRC. Ken's doing his like second or third round of the World Rally Championship. I was like, hell yeah. Hell yeah. He's like, take vacation time from 0 to 60. I know you have it because I know you haven't taken one yet. He's like, take a week of vacation, fly out. Here's the dates. Here's your flight. And I flew out to Turkey solo with nothing but me and a passport and a backpack on my vacation to go essentially what I didn't know at the time, but was my interview to go work with Ken and the team. So at that time, it was just Scotto, Derek Dauncey, and Ken. It was just the three of them. And, you know, Ken was doing the thing and Scotto was building it up and he just needed help. Like, you know, Ken's a really intense dude. And when he focuses on something, like a lot of stuff needs to happen.
Okay.
And Scotto was like, I need ammo. I need firepower. I need help in anything. So I left an associate editor job to become essentially Brian's assistant.
Okay.
So I show up at WRC. Turkey is a gnarly place.
I can imagine.
I leave in a taxi. I leave the airport, and I never forget leaving the airport. There were dudes with mirrors on sticks that would look underneath the taxi for bombs, like IEDs, whatever, under the car. I'm like, I'm leaving the airport. Like, how does that work? But whatever. On the highway, there's a dude with a jacket open and cell phone chargers hanging from it, cars whizzing by at 60 miles an hour. I get a text from Brian that's like, hey, around the hotel, there's wild dogs. Do not approach. Like, just avoid the wild dogs. I'm like, bro, this is nuts. I'm already so jet lagged. Like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing here. I show up at the hotel. Man, there's so many stories already from this. Cut me off if I'm being too long-winded.
No, this is what we want to hear.
Yeah. So I show up. The hotel is a brand new build. Some rooms still don't have electricity and water. I find it like I crash out, you know, I fall asleep, wake up the next day. I come down to breakfast. Breakfast is this crazy array of foods I've never seen. And I've got this piece of bread. There's a full-on honeycomb. I'm like, yeah, whatever. A dude walks up next to me and he's just waiting for me on the honeycomb thing. And it looks like out of my peripheral, like it's a dude in pajamas. I look to my right, Sebastian Loeb. Just right there in a race suit, half around his waist. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that's Sebastian Loeb. Oh my God. I come to sit down at the table with Ken, and this was my second time meeting Ken, but first time like really sitting down with him. So it's Ken, Brian, and Derek. I'm like, hey, Ken. Oh, hey, what's up, man? Oh, so good to meet you. Yeah, I'm so stoked
Really
to
like
be
the
here.
Gymkhana. Like,
And Ken's like, yeah. You know, he just keeps
normal,
going on his breakfast.
nonchalant.
And Derek, who is a legend in his own right. You know,
sure.
we could spend an entire podcast talking
We
about
should
his
at
history.
some point, yeah.
In short, he was on the Mitsubishi team in all of Tommy Mackinnon's winning years.
Right.
Helped bring Ken to the WRC. Like a man of great stature and status.
Right.
And very soft-spoken, very like just like deliberate in his speech.
Yeah.
And Ken and Brian walk off, and I'm about to go follow him, and Derek's like, mate, sit down, please. I'm like, dude, how am I already in trouble? What did I do? All I did was sleep, you know, like, and then I just came down here for breakfast. I'm like, fuck, I'm already failing this. And Derek's like, I waited for Ken and Brian to not be here to bring this up, but there is a significant charge of pornography on your hotel bill. Like, he's like, so look, we'll take care of it. I won't tell anybody, but I'm just letting you know that this happened. And, you know, this is just not the time and place. And I'm racking my brain. I'm like, I don't even know if the TV works in my room. Like, I just came in and I slept. I'm like, dude, Derek, I swear to God, I didn't like, and I just start rattling off and like stumbling my words. And like, he just cracks this smile. He's like, I'm just messing with you, mate. And I'm like, oh man. All right. This is what this is going to be like, you know, like Derek
That's
just
such a
perpetually has you on the back of your feet, you know? And so I went out there already in the first 12 hours, a life-changing trip. And, you know, we're driving out to stage finally. You know, Ken's in the Focus WRC at the time. it's overwhelming, man. Like, I'm walking through the paddock. I see all of my heroes. I see these cars that I was watching on Speed Channel just a few years ago. I'm like, holy shit, this is where I want to be. Like, this is it. I've done it. I've already made it here. Like, how do I stay here? And I'll never forget, we're on our way to a stage. We're already late to it for whatever reason. Ken's about to do his pass, and we're running towards this crest, like a good jump moment. And as we're running, Scotto hands me a camera. He's like, check it out. Ken's going to jump over that crest. You're on a 200 mil lens. He's like, take the focal point down to like a 4 aperture and do 200, on your shutter speed, and try to follow the car. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. Like, I've never shot with a camera in my life. My photography was horrible. And I just hear like banging up through the gears on the rev limiter, through the woods, anti-lag popping off. I'm like on a high, and he's coming towards me, and I lift the camera, and he passes by, and I look down, and he's off the ground, all 4 wheels. It's a little bit blurry, but for the most part, I got the photo. And I was just like, what? Like, I caught that moment. Holy shit.
You didn't even see it, right? Because you're like so focused on doing everything else right.
But man, I got this feeling of like, whoa, I made that picture. And then we go back to the hotel after a few more stages. I was practicing my panning and photos and whatever. And I go back to the hotel, put it on the computer, and I look at this thing, and I'm like, I made that. That's crazy. And then Ken sees it. He's like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Put it on the blog. Because at the time, blogs were the main way to put out any kind of story, right? So it went on the blog post, and then it was my job to write the blog posts. And then the speed with which we were able to put them up, because Scotto and I were taking the photos, we didn't have to wait on anybody else.
Right.
We were able to tell Ken's story like with just a couple hour delay. And that was my first foray into how fast storytelling worked and our advantage over anybody else. The WRC recap didn't come up until way later,
Right.
And our advantage was we were overseas. There was a time difference. By the time we got our story up at 1 a.m, 2 a.m, the US was getting to check it out. So we were already getting great traction from that. Facebook was in its infancy. When I started, Ken had 28,000 followers on Facebook. And so we were like, yeah, let's start putting these up on Facebook and see if people like them. Put up a single photo, put up a gallery, whatever, start getting likes, start getting followers. And that really was that very beginning of like fast storytelling, telling Ken's whole thing of what he was doing with liveries and cars and his driving style and everything. Like, we were essentially personal journalists for Ken and what he was doing.
Was the goal to get followers? Was like the goal to create community? Like, do you remember, was there any specific conversations? Like, what was the goal?
Yeah, absolutely. For Ken, the goal was exposure.
Okay.
Everything. Ken had the major advantage of, when he was at DC, he would bring on athletes for the audience that they brought in and the lifestyle that they would show to audiences. So he understood very, very acutely of the value of marketing, the value of exposure. So when the tables flipped, he went from being the guy that paid the checks to being the guy that was asking for the checks. He knew exactly what Monster wanted, what Ford wanted, what DC wanted, what every one of those companies were looking for, and he would over deliver just a little bit. So that was our thing always. He's like, hey, I got a brand new DC hat. Like, let's get a great photo of that on top of the car with this cool scene. He's like, go ahead.
Is the conversation with Brian and then Brian with you, or is it all three of you together talking about like the goal? Like,
that was the insane part, is the team was really just 4 of us at the time.
Okay.
And so every conversation that had to do with marketing, I was in on.
Wow.
Because Ken was like, yeah, I mean, if he's here to do that job, why would I shut him out of that?
Right.
And even at the very beginning, if I had an idea, this was like 3 months in, if I had an idea and it was good, Ken was like, oh, it's cool, let's do that. Dude, just a year ago, I was watching you on YouTube and you were a hero, and now like you're taking idea suggestions from me. But Ken was always, he wasn't precious about who an idea came from or a concept or whatever. If it was good and he was into it, he would do it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, are you fully out of 0 to 60 at that point?
Yes. Yeah.
So the
After
Turkey
that
trip was the...
That was the catalyst.
Okay.
Yeah. So I passed. Derek found it hilarious the way I reacted to things. And, you know, because...
Was Derek actually part of the interview crew? Like, did you have to pass?
I mean, it wasn't an official interview in any capacity.
No,
just
but
like being with the team and seeing how I interacted with everybody.
Right?
Yeah. So that was kind of the pass fail, you know, and passed enough to make it through. I think Brian had a lot of pull for me because we connected early at 0 to 60 on BMX and music and all those things. He really, like, big shout out to him on how much he vouched for me.
Sure.
And even at times where maybe I was questionable to Ken or whoever, he really stuck his neck out for me a lot of times on like, hey, look, he may not be great, but he's willing to work really hard and learn.
The effort.
So like, let's keep trying with him, you know? I don't know really what Ken's thoughts of me were at the beginning. You know, I'm sure it was like, what is this kid doing? You know, you know, is he trying to get a free ride or what?
So I have to ask, what was the starting salary at Hoonigan, if you remember?
Well, it wasn't even Hoonigan at the time. Hoonigan didn't even exist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It wasn't even a thought. It was
Ken's racing program.
Yeah, it was a mild conversation. So then it was the Monster World Rally team.
Okay.
So they gave me an offer. They were like, look, obviously we got to pay you more than they do at 0 to 60. We will give you $36,000 a year.
Huge raise.
What? This is sick. Yeah, man, I could get extra guac at Chipotle. Like, this is amazing.
Perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a no-brainer.
Oh,
like,
of course.
Cool job. And like, you know, the vibe changed at 0 to 60 a lot when Scotto left.
Okay.
It was still cool. It was awesome. But, you know, I always felt like, again, that like, this feels risky. This is scary. This must be the way to go. Like, there was no question in my mind about staying at 0 to 60 versus going to hang out with Ken.
Did you get a job title, or like, was it any sort of like...
I definitely did. Oh man,
that's not that
it was
important.
like associate or assistant or something. It was about as low level as you could get.
And you're effectively Brian's, like...
I'm Brian's assistant.
Yeah.
Anything that he needed done, whether it was charging batteries, writing blog posts, gathering photos and shooting photos. But
so you're employee number 3.
4.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I guess technically Ken was very much an employee himself
of the brand.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he drove so much of that. He put in insane amounts of work.
Okay.
To the point where on transit, he would be texting us marketing ideas or telling us if a blog post wasn't great or whatever. Like on transit, in between stages. Yeah. I was like, bro, you got to drive a $500,000 race car. Like, what are you doing?
That's probably what he needed to relax from the racing.
He would relax with marketing. Yeah. So yeah, I was just absolute grom.
That's
whatever,
crazy.
like as entry level as you could get.
And what year is this?
This was 2010.
Okay.
Yeah, 2010 is when I first
And so
started
the
working
first
with
time you really picked up a camera was at Turkey.
Yeah,
which,
absolutely.
I mean, you've kind of known for your photography now, right? Like,
it's not still hearing that to this day is a bizarre thing to me because I never set out to be a photographer and I never saw myself as a photographer in the respect of artistry, right?
Okay.
Photography for me was a value that I could bring to the team.
Right.
Because even then, on that first trip, I really like had in the back of my head that like, man, they paid for my flight. They paid for my hotel and an extra seat in the rental car and every meal that I have on the road. Like, I'm not cheap to these guys, right? So what am I doing to bring them value, you know?
Right.
And learning photography was a thing that like, oh man, I saw how stoked Ken was seeing that jump photo. Like, if I could keep that rolling and I could bring the value of photography on top of my writing, I think I could stick around here for a bit.
Nice. It was job security, but value.
Totally.
Value.
Yeah.
Return on investment for them.
And on a personal level, like, again, it was cool to be able to capture rally cars the way I wanted to see them in my head. You know, a big gravel spray or a jump shot or like a really cool sunset shot. To be able to do that with good equipment at the time was like, how cool is that? How can I not pursue that,
Take
you
that
know, as
opportunity.
part of this.
Hmm.
And at the time I was reading some Malcolm Gladwell stuff and the whole 10,000 hour rule thing. And I
Yeah.
was like, well, if I'm going to be doing this day in, day out, as long as I focus on it, I guess I'll become okay at it,
Right.
you know?
So is this absorbing your life, like 90, 100-hour work weeks, and
Yeah,
there's
man.
no other personal life?
Zero.
Girlfriend, nothing?
I was with my girlfriend at the time, who I'm now married to.
Oh, wow.
And
she
she
stuck through all
is
of that.
Ride or die.
Holy
yeah,
smokes.
man. It was, I mean, she really understood and saw the opportunity that I had, and she knew the reverence that I had for Ken, and she saw already like the changes and the opportunity that 0 to 60 gave me.
Okay.
She was like, no questions asked. Yeah, do the thing.
When did you guys meet?
We actually met studying abroad.
Nice.
Yeah. But then
And you wanted to skip this part?
look, there's so many little side quests and divergences to go through. Like, we could be here
Just
for
keep
days.
talking longer if we have to.
Yeah. No, we met studying abroad, but we were both looking for love in Australia, so we didn't, yeah. And oddly enough, we ended up,
Where's she
linking up
from?
later. She's from New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, born and raised.
Were you guys at the same school?
Same school.
Oh, okay,
But
so you're
didn't
on
really interact at that school because,
Oh, okay.
she was a year ahead of me.
Sure.
But then, we just kind of kept in touch afterwards, and then, love sparked.
Holy smokes.
So then, the adventure of, leaving college, and honestly, so much of what I was able to do was also from her support of, having 2 jobs and being able to pay rent, and me being able to take some of these risks. And then when the Ken thing happened, I don't think either of us really understood what I was getting into,
Sure.
but she was like, yeah, go for it. Like, you have to. How are you not going to do this? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And then eventually it got super gnarly. I mean, we were doing European race series based out of the US. So once a month, twice a month. I mean, I spent 70% of my life in those years on the road. I mean, sometimes it would be a 1-2 day turnaround, and I would disappear again.
Was there ever the call to come back home from her, or she was always?
Yeah, I mean, dude, there were some rough patches.
there
Had
to have been. Yeah.
Had to have been.
No,
Yeah.
the most loyal and committed for sure.
It put it to the absolute test. I mean, one of the biggest ones was the move to Utah was big.
Okay.
Because she got a job at the Intercontinental Hotel in New York City, and it was a pretty big job for us at the time, biggest pay that we've ever seen in the household. And the day she got that job was the day that Ken sat us down and said, I'm moving our operation to Utah, and I need you guys out there. Like, to continue with this team,
You have to.
you have to move out to Utah. So I remember both of us walking through the door and being like, I have news. And I'm like, I have news. I was like, you go first. She's like, I got this amazing gig and whatever. And I was like, all right, breathe. And like, we had to have the conversation right there. And the Utah move took a bit of time. So she did get a good 7-8 months at that job. But yeah,
She left the job.
mega props to her. She saw what was possible already with the Ken thing and the progress that we were making there, that she's like, I guess we're moving
No
to
wonder
Utah.
you married her.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, without a doubt.
What's her
without
name?
a doubt, man. Laura.
Laura.
Yeah.
You got a good one, man.
She's phenomenal.
That's awesome.
She's unbelievable human.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be here without her.
Yeah, that's really cool. Amazing support. So that's, I actually would say one of the biggest pieces of advice to pursue a passion is to figure out your home life, and
Absolutely.
it's either have none,
Yeah.
or have an amazing support system.
Totally.
Right.
Totally.
And so I was able to find an amazing support system as well. And if you're gonna do big things in life,
You got to have that
You
backup.
gotta have that.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what there's a lot in the Hoonigan days that we could get into, but I think I want to stay hyper focused on you. So anything else from teamwork development or just being an employee, what are some of the other biggest things that you learned during the Hoonigan days as far as your working life and stuff like that?
Yeah, with Ken, man, I learned so much.
Yeah.
It was just a constant masterclass in marketing, business, life, everything. And obviously I didn't absorb all of it. You know, if I was able to absorb every little piece of that, I think I'd be in a little bit different place in life. But I was able to take enough and, you know, watch his just relentless pursuit of good creative, good marketing, good entertainment that, like I said, it was just a masterclass constantly in marketing, storytelling, design, dealing with people, creating a business. And then I got to watch the birth of Hoonigan as a brand between Scotto and Ken.
Right.
You know, seeing it the first time written out ever, the brackets on a computer screen. That's why the brackets exist, by the way, is because even without an actual logo mark, if you have a Word document, you could still brand yourself with the brackets. If you write Helvetica, Hoonigan, brackets, you still have that hit. Doesn't matter if it's in an email or whatever, like non-graphical, you still have branding. So watching that be born between those two and then seeing that evolve, I was like, whoa, man, like you guys are making a cultural movement in the automotive world. And Ken was just able to spot that. Ken and Brian of like, wow,
whole
automotive is so sterile right now. You know, 2010, like it kind of was like, you know, it was like Tide sponsorships and like really like scripted everything. And Ken was like, we have so much design from moto and snowboarding and skate. We have this army of people that can make cool stuff. Like, let's put big ass drips on a car. Let's shoot it like we're shooting a skate video. Let's do all that. Let's make a brand around this. What are cool car brands that are around right now? There's almost none.
Right.
So let's make a car lifestyle brand. So I got to watch that happen in 2011, you know, that launch party. And then I stayed with Ken until 2018. And Hoonigan was, you know, on a very strong evolution at that time. Ebbs and flows of its own. There's a whole podcast that we could do on how Hoonigan almost died. Hoonigan almost had to be shuttered until YouTube hit. And Hoonigan would not have been doing YouTube if it wasn't for that risk of the company going under, you know, because t-shirt sales were like, you can only make so much off of t-shirts.
Okay.
And so that whole YouTube thing happened. Those guys, for as small of a team as they were, Scotto, Hurt, Vin, Zach, Dan, all those dudes built that YouTube almost organically in a way, but they worked really hard at it. And so when that evolved to a certain extent by 2018, they really needed to expand and really needed to be able to capitalize on the audience that they had built. So Scotto had brought me in from Ken's side. I moved to California and he's like, look, we have a rabid audience. We have infrastructure for making product, but I need help on tying this all together and creating this circle of like sustainability of being able to monetize an audience to be able to grow and do bigger things. And Brian and I have always really enjoyed working with each other. And at that point, you know, I already been with Ken for 8 years. I was pretty burnt. Not pretty burnt. I was absolutely smoked from being on the road. I mean, the years that we were doing the World Rallycross Championship, I was living in Utah. Every single race was in Europe. Every single month was Salt Lake City to Paris to whatever country that we were in. A week and a half, come back, rinse and repeat, sometimes twice a month. Then you would do demos. We'd do a Gymkhana in Dubai. Like, I was done. I remember being at Monza Rally and meeting Valentino Rossi and just being like, yeah, man,
whatever.
Yeah. And that's not cool. No, you know, like
you're so
met
overwhelmed.
An absolute legend in the game and you're so smoked that, like, not apathetic. Like, it was super cool to meet him, but just like, you just want to sleep, you know? So I was ready for a change. I was ready to move and evolve beyond Instagram and Facebook and social media, because that was my focus with Ken the entire time. Creative on Gymkhanas, creative concepting, but really any digital thing that we put out, that was my job. And I was really excited about the prospect of moving into apparel and YouTube and like really that side of the business and learning there. So that drove my decision to leave and go to Hoonigan.
How was the wife in that move?
Very happy. She was
Okay.
thrilled.
Okay.
Because Laura runs cold, and Utah gets very cold.
Okay.
And it's funny. She made me promise when we were moving to Utah. She was like, "All right, I will do this, but we have to move somewhere warm eventually." And I held up my end of the bargain.
Nice.
I was like, "Yeah, let's move to California." She was
Okay.
like, "Oh, thank God."
That's part of the deal.
So she was thrilled. Yeah, she was really stoked to move out to California.
So did Ken maintain his own team at that point, or did it all turn into Hoonigan?
They were separate.
Okay.
The racing program was very much its own operation.
Okay.
And Hoonigan was very much its own thing. So
Okay.
if you think Ken was boss of Hoonigan Racing Division, Scotto was boss of Hoonigan.
Okay. I wasn't clear on that business.
Yeah. They were
the
business
split.
wise, they were their own books.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, Hoonigan would get support from the agency and get cash infusions from Ken personally
Sure.
to keep going. And Ken was a majority owner, but Hoonigan was very much Scotto's show, and Hoonigan Racing Division was Ken's baby. That was his program.
Got it.
And those didn't merge business wise until like 2019 or 20, something like that. Way later down the line.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Very separate line items.
It wasn't clear though, right? Like from the
And there was no reason for the
consumer
audience to
perspective,
really,
right, yeah.
for the consumer, it's like, yeah, it's all one big circle.
Yeah.
But internally, they ran very separate.
Huh.
And Hoonigan made Ken stuff. Funny enough, Hoonigan was sponsor of Ken, so
Right.
Ken was Hoonigan's
It's a
main
good
athlete.
business.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, Team O'Neill sponsors my rally.
Yeah, there you go.
80% owner of Team O'Neill.
Yeah. Helps write that check.
Yeah, exactly. So you did earlier in our conversation, you had a little bit of self-deprecation about Scotto defending you. Was there points at time you thought you were getting terminated from Hoonigan?
All the time. All
Like
the time.
same 0
Same
to
thing.
60 feel.
Yeah.
Really?
Self-deprecation, you'll see that theme across all of us at Hoonigan.
Sure.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, I don't know if it's just the style of creative and just like the need for greatness all the time.
And we know we can
from
achieve
Ken,
greatness,
from Brian,
so then
like they
it's
do not settle for anything. And it was this I still grapple with to this day. I don't think it's the best way to do it, but it's just the way we did it.
Sure.
And we achieved the things we did. But whenever we would have some kind of success, the feeling that we would have is, man, well, at least that didn't fail. You know?
Really? That was the baseline.
Yeah. Ken was at times like he would celebrate success to an extent, but it wasn't like champagne parties and like huge over like, hell yeah, we did it. Like, you know, dap it up, pats on the back. It was like from Ken, it would be an email of like, you did a good job.
See you on Monday.
And that was wild. And then Monday comes around. It's like, this is behind because you've been working on Gymkhana this whole time. And this whole program is like in the shitter. So let's get on this right now. So we were moving job to job to job.
Okay.
And in the Hoonigan days, it was very much of that too. Like
Okay.
we lived, payroll lived job to job. So we could not fail. Any incentive that we had, anything that we did, it had to work or else we might not get paid. You know, it was on a ragged edge for a while there.
Wow.
And because of that, like that's a motivator, right?
Sure.
Like I want this to keep going. This is a really cool thing. I like everybody that I work with. So yeah, all the time you feel like I'm not good enough, like this isn't great. But for me personally, like that was always a driver to work harder, research more, look at what other people are doing, brush up on some skills, take a YouTube class on paid ads. How do those work the best? Like how do you maximize paid ads on Facebook? How do you, you know, tell the best story on YouTube? How do you, like every one of those moments came from me feeling like I'm not doing great. I'm just getting by.
I'm sorry. That's tough.
In a way, but you know, then you look back on it, you're like, what if it was like a coddle fest and it was great work?
Oh yeah,
you
you never would have
crushed it,
achieved what
take
you guys
a week
got.
off.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I would have softened up. Maybe that's what I've always needed. So I don't dwell on it too much because it's like, yeah, we achieved what we achieved because of how all that was happening. So
Sure.
who knows how bad stuff would have been if it would have just been like, that's good enough, put it out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Huh. What if someone were to ask you right now, like, I want to become a content creator? Like, I'm sure you probably get asked that probably a lot.
Sure.
Like, what do you have advice for that? Stay away from it. Like, where are you at right now in the world of, like, if you were to start a content creator?
There's no better time to do it.
Okay.
If you want to create content, you want to tell a story, hell yeah.
Okay.
Go and do it.
Nice.
Because a couple of factors. One, it's never been easier to make content. There's a caveat to that, but I'll get to that in a second. On YouTube, amazing resources. On Instagram, there's like step-by-steps on how to get a hook, how to keep the audience, how to get good color grading, how to get good fonts, what equipment to use, everything. I love that because that takes all of that out of the equation, that gatekeeping of equipment and everything, and it focuses everything about story. Yeah. And for me, with a journalistic background, story has always been it. It doesn't matter if you shoot it on a potato or a red camera. If the story's good, people will watch it. They'll seek it out. They'll find it. Sometimes it's the opposite. If it's too polished, it doesn't feel genuine, So I think it's the golden age of the creator. Like, do it. Try it out. There's little to no risk of you going and doing it. Yeah. Tell a story. Do something cool. Don't even do it for money. Try it out. Tell a cool story about your dog or about your day. Like, there's people out there that are, talking about being a goat farmer, and it's gripping content. I will never goat farm in my life. I will watch hours of goat farming footage because it's so good. Right. Somebody cracked that code. So I'm like, hell yeah. If you have a cool story to tell, or if you don't, try it out. Go and do it. The caveat is that because that entry level is so easy now, there's tons of noise. Everybody's creating content. Right. So now your hard work, instead of finding the equipment, finding the outlet and the people, now is like, how do you break through that noise and become interesting? Because everybody's making content. Right.
Back to story.
Yeah. Right. It's all down to story.
That's great. So let's kind of get towards the end of Hoonigan. How much did the team talk about the sale and like the Wheel Pros deal, and like what was it like getting towards the end of the Hoonigan days?
Yeah. Sale was always the goal in a way.
Really?
It's like, build up a cool thing, sell it, take that, invest in something bigger and cooler and more awesome
than normal. Ken did it multiple times before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Wow. And I personally don't feel like there's a whole lot of shame in that, in being able to build something awesome and then using that to invest in another level.
It's another reason why you wouldn't name it your own name, right? Like,
totally.
If he didn't expect to keep it, like, obviously.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, the community that got built, the community that Scotto kind of fostered and all those other dudes, they derailed that plan, because instead of just building this like brand that you can sell and then move on to the next, we're like, oh shit, like there's kind of a difference that we're making and an impact that we're having. And like, we don't want to sell this now. Like, we want to keep this going. Like, people are really connecting to this. People are really liking it. And then the conversation became more so of like, all right, we've kind of peaked of what we could do with, where we're at monetarily. We have bigger ideas. We have way bigger things we want to do. Let's find a strategic partner that can invest and get Ken back all the personal money that he put in and all, everything, and like really be able to infuse Hoonigan with enough cash to do things like make our own Gymkhana grid series and make bigger stories and sponsor more drivers and create a young driver program. Like, we had all these things we wanted to do, and always money is the obstacle of doing that kind of stuff. And we were throttled by how much we could do with, just t-shirt sales and brand deals. Like, it was still a small team, so there's only so many brand deals you could do before.
It's just quantity of time problem.
Yeah.
Right. You can only do so much.
And at the end of the day, we were all working full-time jobs. My full-time job was marketing. Scotto's was everything, running the business. Right. Vinny's was business development. Zach's was also biz dev at the time. So we all had full-time gigs, and we had to film, and we had to be entertaining and do our own builds and make money off t-shirts. It was just only so much that we could all do in a day without more investment.
So the infusion was the goal to
So we
unlock
never,
more opportunity for you guys.
We never wanted to sell and dump it.
Right.
Like that was not the thing we wanted. We understood, like, we really cared about the audience that was built. Like, we had all these events that people would come out to, and like there's so many people that I DM to this day that I've never met in person, but they, you know, like the company so much that, you know, you connect with them.
Right.
So we just wanted to give them more. We wanted to absolutely elevate this to a level. So we started structuring the company to be attractive for sale and investment.
And you were a part of this, right? This wasn't behind like closed doors to you guys.
No, it was like it was kind of a somewhat inner circle thing, but it was, me and Scotto and like the other guys were involved to, you know, whatever extent they really wanted to. But like, it was a small-ish core, but I was involved with, you know, setting it up to make it look attractive for sale.
Nice.
And that was like 2018 that I had already started. Like we started trying to position this for sale. And then
the sale happened in 21?
Sale happened in 21. So we were on the cusp of, like, it was an amazing deal. We were going to get all this like cash infusion, great strategic partnership. And then this thing called COVID happened. Like weeks before names were going to be on the dotted line. And they were like, look, we don't know what's going on with this. Financial world's in turmoil. Like, this is crazy. Like, sorry, but we have to step back. We'll reconsider after things settle down. Because the world shut down.
Right.
And so we were like, whoa, man, okay, this is brutal. Like, we were running ragged trying to, like, you know, maximize views. Yeah. Multiple channels. Like all these sales deals, all these hires and everything. And then COVID happened. We're like, dude, how are we going to survive this? Like, this buyout was almost there. We were so close. And then it didn't happen. And we're like, we doubled down 3 times before to make this happen. You got to double down again to make it through COVID. All right, cool. Yeah, whatever. And then started a live stream, started doing giveaway cars. We started doing, we weren't able to film in our yard. So we struck a deal with Irwindale to be able to film over there. And then later on, when things started easing up, we were able to bring audiences to Irwindale for Burnyard shows there. And we made it through. We doubled down again, and we, you know, adapted to the situation to where the conversation came back up. Like, hey, we're interested again, whatever. And that's where Wheel Pros came in. And we're like, yeah, we want to partner up strategically with you guys and make bigger
so that
things
wasn't
happen.
the 2020 deal.
It was.
Oh, it was. Okay,
yeah.
same.
It was all Wheel Pros. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there were a couple interested parties, but Wheel Pros was really the one that came in.
What did you add to the team creatively in like that 2020 COVID time? Was there any of those that were your ideas that the team executed?
Yeah, so I spearheaded the whole entire giveaway car program, but I was looking at other people doing it, and there was no connection. There was no story to the cars they were giving away. It's like, win a Lambo, buy a shirt.
Right, yeah.
You know, and the shirt,
1,000 points. And
the shirt would get printed on demand and you would get it. And it's like, there was no real connection. So for me, we were doing project cars on our channel, and they were tied directly to these dudes that were building them. So I think the first one, I forget whether it was Vinny's S14 or Zach's C10 truck, but one of those, I was like, hey, Vin, you want to sell your car? Like, super easy. I'll buy it off you. The company will buy it off you. And he's like, yeah, cool. So you have an entire story pre-built on this car, multiple episodes that Vin did on this car, and now the audience has a chance to win it. Stuff went crazy.
Really?
You know, sales, man, at that point in time, in those years, our apparel sales were doubling every year back to back.
Wow.
And especially like once the giveaways happened, look, financially the planet was different during COVID times.
Yeah, for sure. An influx of cash. Everyone
influx of cash.
They're bored.
Interest rates low.
They're watching YouTube videos.
Yeah, so I can't take a crazy amount of credit for, you know, like, oh yeah, like I was such a brilliant business person and that's why we did so well. There was a ton of cash flying around and people were captive at home wanting to watch content. Right. If you were in YouTube during COVID, you were probably doing really well. Right. AdSense was popping off. Like, you know, I can't say that we were all masterminds of this crazy plan, but we were able to make things happen because people were at home and watching and connecting with us.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. So, you know, everything's transitioning, the Wheels Pros deal. Obviously, then the shift with Ken passing unexpectedly there. What is it like to be an employee at that time, right? So now the company's changing hands, you know, he's gone. Yeah. You're still trying to just work your job, right? Like, what is it like to be an
employee? Well, so if we rewind a little bit,
yeah,
when the sale happened, it was absolute euphoria. We were all stoked.
Okay.
Because we're like, oh my God, we're not living job to job. Like, we got to hire a bunch of people. We got to get a really cool building. We got to have air conditioned offices. Like, we got to get machine work and like bigger projects, and we got to dream bigger. Like, we were on a trip called Carcane Abroad, myself, Vinny, and Scotto, when all the paperwork went through. And, you know, Ken, although I never had equity in the company, Ken had carved out this thing of like, based on how long you were around and like your job title, he gave people a piece of the sale. He didn't have to at all whatsoever. Nobody had an equity deal, nothing signed on paper, and he gave people chunks of, you know, the sale.
Amazing.
As a reward for sticking through it and doing the thing. And so, dude, I was in Germany. I had gotten a Lancia Delta Integrale, like driving around on the ring. Like, life could not be better.
What year was this? 21.
21. October of 21. Man, things were looking good. Wow. It was phenomenal. And then corporate happens, right? Like, the post-COVID spending spree was starting to go down a little bit. You know, the expectation maybe of growth wasn't really matching what sales were doing. So, you know, you leave that euphoric time, things start throttling back. And when you're in this corporate machine, like this like microcosm of creativity and grit and everything, got caught up in like a more traditional corporate structure and everything, and it changed,
like permissions to post content.
And you're working with a lot more people that don't really care about cars or know about cars, and so
this might offend somebody, so we can't post this out.
Totally.
Really?
Yeah, we had to change stuff. Like, we called ourselves scumbags, and that was such a thing that the audience connected with. And then, you know, an incentive came, and I get it. I understand that, like, you know, this big ass company that owns you now, like, they don't necessarily want their product being associated with scumbags, you know? And it's little pieces, little this here and there that starts changing that culture, and you don't really notice it at first.
Notices.
But that 21 to 22 period really changed a lot of things at Hoonigan. Some people started thriving in that environment, but the core group, myself, Vinny, Scotto, like, hurt to an extent too. We saw that change. We went through this like double down, super hardcore work,
and burnt out again.
And Vin and those OG guys, like, they had already been thrashing on Hoonigan from day one, you know? So you get to this point where you see these changes. You're like, this isn't the company I joined at the beginning. Like, maybe it's time to evolve and move on, you know? It wasn't like a vindictive thing at that time at all, but we all started having the conversation of like, what's next? What are we going to do next? And we had this kind of like, almost like a pact of like, well, if you leave,
I'm going.
I'm not why would I stick around if
you're
both
all here
of y'all are
for each
gone? So we kind of had this thing going. This was like 2022, starting to go on already.
Yeah.
And we were like, yeah, let's start looking. Like, what's the next thing? Are we going to work together? Are we going to do separate things? Hurt got an amazing deal at the time with the Hot Wheels show that he was a part of. So, oh man, wait, was it Hot Wheels? I think it was. It was a TV show with Rutledge Wood. Huge opportunity for Hurt. Hurt already had so much of his own star power.
Yeah.
So, Hurt already started that, like, he was like,
kind of broke the
cracked
the egg.
Exactly. He cracked that egg. really emotional exit for him because, yeah, we were like a family, dude. You know,
Right.
like we saw each other every day for many, many hours a day. So we had this agreement, right? And this is, again, 2022. We're already starting to look beyond and look what's next.
Okay.
Like we want to just, we're done. Like we're ready. We feel like the sale was a huge accomplishment and we
Right.
feel like we did this thing, but then we felt like maybe it wasn't going in the direction that we really like wished it would.
Sure.
So we made that agreement, and then right around that time we go on break. We finally started taking breaks over the holidays. And then January 2nd,
Right.
like, everything changed.
Right.
Everything changed. And we all kind of came together. That really like bound us all. And we're like, well, we can't leave this now. How are we going to leave when this happened? That wasn't even really like a conversation, to be honest, because I was one of the first to find out, and all of the guys were about to go to Australia to film This Versus That Australia. And I had a plane ride the next day. And so immediately I like had to call her, yo, get off the plane. Like literally Hurt was about to board. And I'm like, it's up to you if you want to go, but I don't think anything's actually like gonna happen. Like,
Right. We need a break. We need to figure out what's going on.
so we all came together and we're like, we have a lot of work ahead of us. You know, we gotta tell this guy's story, and we gotta be there with the audience, and we have to like, if there is ever a time for us to all be a unit, this is it.
Wow.
So instead of this vision of us leaving and doing whatever, so many people think that it was Ken's passing that made everybody leave, but that actually made us more together than we had been in a while. You know,
That's crazy.
so we all, again, you know, like roll up the
Stuck it out.
sleeves,
Double down again.
let's go. You
Wow.
know, let's make Gymkhana Grid happen as a series. Let's do the celebration of life. Let's do a throwback product. Let's get as much, you know, royalties and everything as we can get for the family to make sure they're on their feet. Let's
Start the
help Leah.
nonprofit.
Let's, you know, get her liveries going. It was hammer down for like 6 to 7 months.
Wow.
And really like that was a wild time. Like we made a lot of stuff happen, a lot of content happen, a lot of everything. This Versus That was still running super strong.
Right.
And you know, when that kind of rush slowed down a bit, it's like, oh yeah, all right.
That was everything that the plan before.
We were ready to leave, but now we're all like way tired and like ready to do the next thing.
Wow.
And not to get super deep into it, but you know, again, that like culture shift through like, you know, whatever was happening on the business side, it really changed a lot of what it meant to be going to Hoonigan. We changed buildings, like we changed who reported to who. There started to be some infighting, some egos, some people trying to, you know, that thing that we all wanted to avoid by joining Hoonigan, this corporate world of like someone's nice to your face, but
Backstabbing.
they're actually trying to get a pay raise and they're trying to get a bigger title. That started happening. And that sucks. That's not a world that I want to operate in. That's not eyes in the back of my head that I want to have.
Right.
And I understand,
Defending
like I've
yourself all
worked
the
in
time.
it, you know, I've done things that, you know, I had to do to keep my job or to keep going forward. But it just like, I had no interest in being in that world. And some people thrive in that world, and that's fine.
Sure.
Just wasn't for me. And all the other core dudes kind of felt very much the same. So we all just like, you're going, I'm gone.
Was there do you remember the moment, the decision? Was there like a
Yeah, there was
straw
a bit of
that
a
broke
moment.
the camel's back? Or?
Yeah, Scotto got a really good job offer from a company called Super Plastic, which was non-automotive at all. They were like very much like collector culture and music, hip hop, all that. And he saw that opportunity. He was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I want to go to that. So when he told us that that was happening, and he had like a long transition period between working both jobs, that was just like, all right, the dominoes falling. Like, I remember it was like a gnarly thing hearing that from him, because we all knew that that one domino fell. Well, the rest of them are going, you know? So it was like, wow, am I really going to do this? It's like, yeah, there's not that there's no other choice, but it's again, that like, ooh, this is really scary. This is risky. I had nothing lined up. I had nothing, but I wasn't able to put my name on the product that we were putting out at the time. So I was just like, yeah, that's it. That's it for me.
Yeah. So, what did you leave behind? You know, did they try to bonus you? Did they try to like entice you to stay? Was there like anything else that they were, or was it a fairly amicable split? Or
it was an amicable thing, because by the time that Scotto and Vin and everybody, they just like, the powers to be, this is just opinion.
Sure.
But I think in a certain respect, some people were almost happy that we were going.
Right. The old way is gone.
Totally.
They could go on to the new
because
phase.
we were such a barrier.
Right.
You know, like,
right.
Just as an example, on the licensing side of things, we started licensing a lot to AutoZone, O'Reilly, and that was something that I was vehemently against. Like, I was like, if I see
the discount thing again a little bit, right?
Yep. I was like, if I see a steering wheel cover that says Hoonigan, I'm out. Like that. And they're like, yes, but you can make $1 million to $3 million extra dollars on your product by doing nothing except steering wheel covers. I was like, go to a Burnyard show, go to SEMA, go on our Instagram, look at any build that anybody that follows us is doing. Do you see a steering wheel cover? No. So how am I going to put my face on a video and say, buy a steering wheel cover now from Hoonigan, you know, buy this seat cover? I was like, no, I'm not doing it. And so, you know, from a business side, yeah, you're saying no to a lot of money, but we were like, and that's just one small example of that. And, you know, Scotto is a force on the creative side. So people had their creative ideas and things that they wanted to do and try. And without that barrier, you know, they were like, oh, we could be free. We could do our ideas now. So in that sense, I think it was a pretty amicable thing,
right?
You know, and nobody really knew what was going to happen to the content, to the product, to anything when certain people left. So yeah, I wouldn't say from my side there was no bad blood, and I still talk to a lot of those dudes.
Sure.
Like, there were employees there that I brought on that flourished, and I really love seeing what they're doing now. Like, it sucked leaving that, but I'm stoked. Some of them are still there, you know, some of them are still doing their thing. So yeah, from my side personally, there was no real like super bad blood. Like, yeah, I had feelings towards certain people, like one way or another, but yeah, I mean, nothing vindictive at all.
So there wasn't like some sort of big package they threw at you once you told them that you were going?
No, no. I think it was like they just knew that there was no way. Yeah.
No reason to try to chase after that.
Yeah.
So what do you think, you know, now post Hoonigan, currently now at this point in your life, like what kind of doors did Hoonigan open for you?
I mean, in a way, almost every door. It was crazy, you know, like I remember knowing that my email was going to go away. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to scrub all the contacts that I made over the years. And you start looking at it and you're like, man, I could call any one of these guys and like do a project with them or work with them. So that was mega exciting of having, you know, there was a span where, you know, I was working with Honda Racing, Chevy on our Camaro project, and a C8 Corvette that we had, Subaru we were doing all the Gymkhana stuff with, you know, like love those dudes over there. And then any and every, you know, Borla and KW Suspension and everybody, Garrett Turbo, all these companies, like I had spent so much time working with them that I was like, wow, maybe I can just go it on my own and try some stuff out.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So what do you think you're like, Driver's Era came up, you and Vin, and what is that? Where is that now? Like what's going on with that?
Yeah, Driver's Era was a thing where, you know, everybody left and went their separate ways. And Vinny and I, especially later in those years, we had super connected. We have very similar tastes in cars, similar things that we like, aesthetics and styles and all that. So, you know, we went under the philosophy of you can go further together. So I was like, look, you have a great audience. You have like all these really cool builds happening. We really vibe on this thing that we call the Driver's Era, is like the peak of analog driving experience. That like time of the late 90s to the mid 2000s, where like cars weren't super throttled back with electronic nannies and emissions and everything, but analog was like the absolute pinnacle of engineering. We wanted to celebrate that in cars. So we took that, we built it, we went racing with Hyundai because we had this huge Hyundai deal with Hoonigan that didn't end up happening. So that reignited, and we needed kind of a front to do that through. Driver's Era was the thing. So I ended up being able to do the Pikes Peak hill climb with Hyundai through circumstances.
Record holder.
I know. Yeah. Again, circumstantial. This is its whole own pod, but I was teammates with Danny Sordo, Randy Post, Robin Shute, Paul Dallenbach, and Paul had crashed the week before the event. So those other guys were running the time attack cars, which were like slicks, big aero, fully gutted, open class. Paul and I were production class cars. Literally nothing but a cage and a 300 tread wear tire. That's all the car had. And then Paul just like pushing the absolute limits. He found the limits of the vehicle, but the car got totaled. He went off mountain. He had to be sawn out of the car.
Holy smokes.
And so we got into this moment where Hyundai calls me, and like I had a lot of seat time in the car. I had a lot of practice. I had already done full mountain on like an unofficial record setting that we did. And they called me and they were like, I'm sure you know enough math to know that we're not able to get another car together, and that the record now kind of rests on you. No pressure. If you can't do it, if you're uncomfortable, you don't have to set the record. But if you can get under 11 minutes, 11:02, a lot of people would be very happy. And I'm sitting there like, I didn't even really want to do this to begin with, because that's so intimidating as like, you know, a competitive race in a car that I didn't have a ton of seat time in. And my unofficial mountain time was 11:06. The Hyundai had rented the mountain full top to bottom for us to see where the times were at and set a non-race record.
Right.
Paul went 10:33. I went 11:02. And I'm like, well, that's Paul. Paul's been doing that mountain since before I was born.
Right. He knows every...
Brother, I don't know. I'm just here for survival.
Right.
And
you could just turn it up just a little bit.
Just a little bit. And I'm like, that 11:02, I was hanging on for dear life. And honestly, the Hyundai team was unbelievably supportive. Robin, like, driver coached me through the whole thing. Randy Post, same thing. Great supporter. The whole team, we were working with the Brian Herta Autosport team. Yep. Every single one of those dudes made me feel like I have it in me to set this. I had zero questions about the equipment and what they had set up and what they had put me in. And so on the day, strung some stuff together and ran a 10:42. Yeah.
So going all the way back to you're the kid doing the valet parking. and now you're racing cars and done all these things. Like,
dude,
how do you even like deal with that mentally?
that kid, if you would have told me at the time that I would have met Travis and Ken and like sent them a text or an email, be like, you're nuts.
Yeah.
Get out of here. That's peak, you know? And so to get to where I was with Ken, like we actually ended up being very, very close when I moved out to Utah. And we spent so much time together and with the family and everything, you know, like we were what I would be comfortable as saying like good friends, you know? So 16-year-old me seeing all that, like, not real. Like, what are you, spaceman? Like, what's this language you're speaking? Because that's not happening in my lifetime, you know? Yeah, it's a wild, wild thing.
So people probably tell you you're pretty lucky.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
What do you say in response to that?
I would say you're right. Under the definition that luck is where preparedness meets opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? So things happened in my life that I was somewhat ready for. And because I was prepared for that, I was able to say, yeah, I'm going to go do it and try it.
Right.
Like if I didn't work hard at writing and creative and journalism, then would Ken have even wanted to bring me on? Mm-hmm. If I wasn't filming, you know, my own homemade skate videos on a DV camera and like messing around with Windows Movie Maker, and then Ken's like, hey, we need this video made like ASAP. There's no editors available. Can you do it? I was like, oh, wait, yeah, I can. I mean, it'll take me forever, but I could try it. And I did. Those are those like the stuff you do every day, the decisions you make every day. If you build yourself up and you work at those things and an opportunity comes, it's not going to miss you because you have what you need for that opportunity.
I completely agree. You know, and I think that's luck is the preparedness part, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so being able to put yourself in that position and then take the chance to say yes.
For sure.
Right. That's the other big variable of all of this.
Yeah.
And I think you and I spoke about this off camera, but like everyone wants to emulate the you now, right? Mm-hmm. They would love to have all the success, be the Pikes Peak holder.
Oh yeah.
You know, but hopefully the last few hours people got to hear a little bit of more of what it took to get to this point.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, like if you look at an Instagram page, of course, like why wouldn't I post the highlights? But I'm not really going to do a story about how I didn't sleep, you know, throughout an entire night putting an edit together for Ken to look at it and be like, yeah, well, this is unpostable. You know, you're bleeding from the eyes. You're like worked so hard on this and it's like not good. As go back to the drawing board, take a 2-hour nap and try again. Over and over and over and over again, get knocked down and knocked down. And this isn't good enough. And this isn't great. But then when you get it, it's sick. You get the pat on the back. You get, you know, the opportunity, the raises, the come on this trip, the direct this, the, you know, get to put your name on an ex Gymkhana film. You know, if you could take those punches, then you get the reward from it.
So when was the point where you got into back into racing, right? So was it after you left Hoonigan that you finally had some more time for
a little
that,
bit? The later years in Hoonigan, I was trying to claw back a little that because everything I've ever done is under the idea of making enough to be able to race. Yeah. All I wanted to do was be a race car driver. That's all I've ever wanted to do. Everything else is a means to do that. Sure. You know,
got a little too close to the fire there for a little while.
Yeah. And somebody once told me, if you want to be a race car driver, do not work in racing.
Yeah, and I would highly 100% agree with that.
Yeah. And to a certain extent, I got to become an outlier for that, mostly due to the creator economy that we're in now. So yeah, towards the end of Hoonigan, I started getting some opportunities here and there. You know, Cletus McFarland, we were working with him a bunch on things. Cool. And he was like, hey, we got this thing called the Freedom 500.
Oh, I've seen that.
Do you want to come race Crown Vics? You know, so and then cool. Bristol 1000. I got to race at Bristol Motor Speedway against legendary drivers, like guys that I never thought I'd meet in my life.
Wow.
you know, I'm bashing doors with. So that started a little bit in that like 2023, and then in a big way, this Hyundai opportunity like really opened up the door to be able to race. So yeah, the Pikes Peak thing, SRO, getting all of our licensing for that, then racing wheel to wheel at Indianapolis, at Barber, at VIR. It was really my opportunity to be able to claw back all of that time, you know, behind the laptop, behind the scenes, and be able to dive into that world.
Yeah.
And it was incredible.
And
Life
rally
changing.
sprints and
Yeah, that's
trying to
right.
do some more rallies.
Yeah,
and-
yeah. Oh man. I mean, that's okay. It's a little bit of scheming. We call ourselves scumbags for a reason, right? We were, I don't know how long-winded we can go on this, but
as much time as you want to
okay.
go.
All right. Is this an unflattering angle, by the way? Are you seeing up my shorts? Or are we good?
He's like, oh yeah, we zoomed in already.
Tight. Yeah, sweet. Okay, so, you know, we're doing a Gymkhana with Travis, right?
Right.
And this is our second one. And we have this idea of doing a rail slide with a car.
Oh yeah.
And so...
Eliza's told me this from her perspective too.
Oh, really? Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's funny.
The original concept is we want to do it sideways. We wanted to do like a board slide.
Yeah.
So we needed to figure out the dynamics of building a rail.
Yeah.
How do you get the car pitched sideways to do the board slide? But then more importantly, how do you get it to land evenly and go back down? So we got some budget. We got to test this out somehow. So we got to get a car to rail slide. And we're not doing it in the Gymkhana car because that's very expensive to run, very expensive to fix.
Right.
All right, how are we going to prove this concept? Well, Subaru had a fitment trial STI, which is like a car that will never have a VIN, will never run publicly. Like it's just the final panel fitment.
Right.
Yep. So they gave us one of those. And we're like, okay, cool. But that's a street car. Like it could be destroyed on the first pass or the first two if things go wrong. So we have to have a backup. So I'm sitting there, you know, kind of leading this charge. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, practically speaking, what is going to be able to take the abuse of a rail slide? Rally car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right. We got to buy a rally car. Well, if we're buying a rally car, I'm not just going to buy like any old rally car. It's got to have a little bit of power. It's got to have a handbrake. It's got to be a Subaru because we're making content around this.
Sure.
Limited class car is right around the price range. Let's buy a limited class car, and if Travis doesn't roll it, hey, we got a rally car for the brand. You know, win-win. Just as we had predicted, the second try we did, sideways, car, boom, digs in front, rolls over 3 times. The pre-production car,
Right.
totaled, done. Like
Travis was driving?
Travis was driving.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah, we were out in like Bakersfield, just like in an open lot. We had this really sick rail. Like, you know, you have to build this rail side rail, but you can't travel with something that's massive because we're building it in California. We're filming in Florida.
Right.
So we built this system based around a standard Jersey barrier that would clamp down on it. So we can make a modular system that packs down pretty small, put it in a truck. Any Jersey barrier in all of America, you could put it on. So we tested that out. First car totaled. Rally car comes out. And we find out that the sideways thing isn't really working.
Right.
So then we evolve to doing a more straight on, a jump to slide down the middle and down, put a big old beefy skid plate, some metal bars under it. Made it through, car survived, and I had myself a rally car.
Nice.
And, you know, through one way or another, I took it off the company's hands and you know, made it my own. So I was living the dream, man. I had myself a turbo Subaru with a handbrake and Rigers and all this stuff. It was Cam Steely's old car.
Nice.
And I was on cloud 9, dude. The second I got behind the wheel, felt that dive and the, oh my God, dude.
And
It
the
was,
chirps and the
everything.
blow up valve.
Everything
and,
I ever wanted.
Yeah.
I was like, I got a rally car now. So what am I going to do? Enter it in sprints.
Yeah.
Sprints were the obvious next step of like, I don't have
Low pressure and
the co-driver, the crew, the whatever, and even the skill to drive a turbo car in a full-on rally. But a sprint is the perfect stepping stone of like, you take a class, You learn the dynamics. Sprint. Boom. Done.
Right.
So I did like 5 or 6 of those and ended up winning one of them and second on the rest of them.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So now we got to get you back out there and doing some more. And
That's
you came
right.
here and did 3 days with Team O'Neill, and
Which is phenomenal. It's funny. I first showed up here in 2009, co-driving for Wyatt Knox at the Tim O'Neill rally as a part of a 060 story that we were doing.
really,
With the Scion, Scion wanted to sell more XDs. And
Yep.
somehow, through a partnership that we had through 0 to 60, we convinced them, you guys should build a rally car. And you guys should enter an actual rally. And, you know, Hunter S. Thompson style, gonzo journalism, they're like, well, we got to throw one of our guys in here. Scotto knew that I loved rally cars. So I had to become a co-driver. And step 1 of that is, you know, trial by fire. Throw me in the car with Wyatt on roads that he knows well.
right,
So if I miss a note, it doesn't really matter.
right.
So I co-drove with Wyatt at that rally.
Wow.
Car set on fire about 7 stages in. We were leading first overall,
Yeah,
and then car set on fire,
yeah.
as they do.
That sounds about it.
But yeah, that was my first time here at O'Neill's, 2009.
Wow.
And then every time I came back after, it was with a camera and a laptop.
Yeah.
I was just watching everybody else.
So is this your first time taking actual classes?
First time ever taking a class.
How was it?
Yeah.
What'd you
Phenomenal,
think?
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was amazing, humbling, because, like, you know, I've done some driving. Like,
Sure.
I had a lot of seat time with the Pikes Peak program and SRO stuff and ice driving when I was in Utah. I did some ice racing stuff there. I've gotten to drive a lot of cars through Hoonigan, and I drove on the Nürburgring, and like a lot of seat time. The rally sprints, you know, won, got second on a bunch of other ones. And I came here knowing that I was going to be humbled, but not to the extent that I was. Because a big turbo car with good diffs and the right suspension and a bunch
with
of power
real rally tires.
hides a lot of mistakes.
Right.
You could have the worst habits. You'll still be able to take that car to 80%.
Right.
But I want to learn that like 80 plus. I want to be
Right.
able to really get everything out of that car.
Right.
And the school here, like the
Those
braking
limited
techniques,
2-wheel drive, front wheel drive, 100 horsepower Ford
100
Fiesta.
horsepower on snow tires
It
and
just
mud.
dis-
You'll learn what you're doing wrong real quick.
Immediately.
And you have people that come into the school that have never done driving like that,
Yeah.
but they learn well.
Right.
I'm still in the process of unlearning my bad habits.
Right.
They're already a step ahead of me.
Right.
So I'm like, no, I'm the driver. I should be doing better than that person. But no, you know,
We see a lot of females do really well here
Yeah,
because of that.
totally.
They don't
There's
come
an
with
18-year-old girl that was ripping out there, and I'm like, I gotta step my game up. What's going on here?
Almost
But then you
always
get-
they beat
yeah.
the guys with because the day one is just humility training for
Listen,
the guys.
Yeah.
Right. You're like,
Totally.
oh, here's this 100 horsepower Ford Fiesta. Can you do it?
Yeah.
No, they can't. So then they'll
Yeah.
start listening.
Yeah. And it's the building blocks. It's like you think, how much fun can you really have in, you know, a low powered car
Right.
with no grippy tires on a loose surface is like, no, it turns out a lot if you do it right.
Right.
And when it clicks, that's it. That's that moment. You realize, like, I can be fast in a slow car. Wow, I'm the man.
Right. And that's why we have the instructor core that we do is it if it doesn't click with that one, it'll click with one of them, right?
Yeah, I really like that part where you guys cycle through
Yeah.
cars and instructors.
Right.
So you're not with one dude the rest of the day.
Right.
If you don't really like work well with one guy, chances are you'll work
20
great
minutes,
with the next
you're
one.
gonna get another try.
And if you work well with them all, they all have different approaches to how they teach.
Right.
And so there was like things that they were saying, unwinding while still on the brake pedal is something that was so hard for me to learn.
Sure.
And every instructor told me that, but the way one of them presented it to me and
Just a
showed me what I
little
was
bit
doing
different.
wrong, boom, the rest of the runs were perfect.
That's so cool.
But if I hadn't been with that one guy, like, who knows if I would have gotten that.
Right.
So that's great.
Oh, thank you, man, for being here. We really appreciate that.
Yeah. No, it was a great time.
So what's next then? What are you working on? What else do you have
So
going on?
when I left Hoonigan, I started just doing marketing, branding, and creative consulting.
Cool.
So I've worked with a couple different clients already, working with Subaru, eBay. The Block family was my very first call, so I worked super closely with them, helping Leah on her program, you know, with
Nice.
Williams F1, all
Wow.
that. So that I would say is up to and beyond 50% of my time is the consulting work.
Okay.
And then the driver's era thing was Vin and I kind of saw that it was a side hustle for both of us, not a full-time thing.
Okay.
I was really like kind of going towards build a new brand from the ground up. Vin was looking for an outlet on his YouTube side that just like made a lot more sense towards there. So we looked at it. We're like, it's probably better that we stay friends instead of business partners that then, you know how it goes in business. Like,
Yes.
you have to make some hard decisions.
Destroy a friendship.
You can destroy a friendship really quick.
Right.
We valued our friendship and our time together way more.
Nice.
So we were like, yeah, it's either fully you or fully me. And with Vin on his YouTube side, he's crushing it on YouTube.
Awesome.
He's doing so well that like, let's do driver's era as Vin's thing. And I really want to go back to my core, my passion, and I want to build a brand around stage rally.
Wow.
Because I thought to myself, I was like, well, if driver's era ever did super well and everything like just went over the moon crazy, what would I do? I'd buy a rally car. I'd do a season of rally. So I thought to myself, okay, why would I like go through all that? Why would I wait
till the
why would I wait
at the end?
And I could just do that now. So thankful that I've been able to make all these connections all around the world, like through the World Rally Championship stuff that we did, photographers and team owners and, going to M Sport, knowing all those guys, and then you yourself and Dave, and all the rally community.
And our community is awesome.
It's
right?
incredible. Yeah. Helpful. And I don't think there's nearly enough shine on the community stories of the drivers and the companies and like all the different things that happen at each rally, the heroicness. People recognize the Subarus and the Evos, and they remember and they know what rally is, but they don't know the difference between a tarmac setup and a gravel setup. They don't know, like the crazy like 0.1 second difference that Mikko Hirvonen and Marcus Gronholm had for the championship in, I think it was like 2008 or 9. There's so many insane stories in the global community that really deserve to be told. And there's not really an outlet right now that's hyper focused on that. You have people doing an amazing job of, telling the story of, current championship and current drivers and everything. Like that's covered. That's great.
Right.
But really the culture of rally and the story of rally and everything behind it, we've never been more primed in an audience that now knows motorsport and F1 and Drive to Survive and all that. I think, at least I feel, that we are at a point where the world is ready to know about how incredible rally is. And I really want to tell that story.
That's awesome.
And so this thing that I'm starting, calling it Anti-Lag, a company I want to start to do that, to tell that through media, through Instagram, eventually through YouTube, and then, making it all happen through merch.
Yeah.
I named it after one of the coolest things that's on a rally car, the Boom Booms.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's my next thing. That's what I really want to focus on, in addition to the consulting stuff and still working with the
this
blocks.
pays off, or the goal is that it'll also allow you to get in a car and
totally
create content yourself.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have a brand car, got to do it.
Yeah.
Got to get more rally
cars. Go to the bank. That's a good
cars.
Justifiable investment from the bank.
Financial advice. Buy a race car, when whatever that makes sense. Oh, well, build a brand around it.
Sure.
So
cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an excuse to get behind the wheel. But
so social media first, is that kind of your goal?
Totally.
Before even like a YouTube presence?
Build the community for it. Try it out.
Okay.
Again, back to your question about, is it a good time to be a creator? Yeah, absolutely. Build an audience and see, what resonates, and then take it from there. You can absolutely do that with minimal investment.
That's awesome, man. Well, we're obviously in on it. We'll do anything we can to support it. And
I super appreciate that, man. And this is honestly like, these are the initial steps. Like just the fact that I'm able to be here and talk to you and take the school, like, that's an ability to get back into this community that I really like got to cut my teeth in and, be a part of. Like, it's awesome to be back.
I always felt like Ken had to do everything else to go to rally. And that's one thing that I've felt no one has cracked, including Ken.
Yeah.
How to actually use stage rally as a way to get profile.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone else had to go somewhere else and then come here. So it would be amazing if you figured it out, because I'm
going to try to. I
Right.
can't make any guarantees.
Right. But I
it
don't
is-
know if anyone's given it a legitimate real try either,
Yeah.
right? So it's like that's a
Yep.
cool thing that you're trying to make happen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And again, it gives me a reason to be back in this community that helped make me who I am.
Right. Wow. That's amazing. So by the time this podcast comes out, hopefully you're kind of established. So are you going to have, as Anti-Lag, the social media handles and all the
Yep.
stuff that you're trying to go with?
Antilag.co. That's
Okay.
the website
All
and
right.
the Instagram handle. And that's where we'll be starting to, make content, have some apparel, see where it goes.
If they want to reach out to you directly, is there a way for people to contact you?
Yeah, just my Instagram. That's
Okay.
where I talk to most people. Roncar, RONCAR,
Okay.
or the Anti-Lag handle, either one.
Nice.
Yeah, reach
Perfect.
out, ask
Awesome.
a question.
If you have a dream rally car, do you know or have a dream car that you're hoping to get someday?
Too many to really make a
Single-
full-on
okay.
single decision, but achievable is like a Group A Evo 6.
Nice.
Yep. I mean, that's like peak, right? They're so good.
Funny to go all the way back to our conversation.
But being able to drive any one of the modern Rally 1 cars.
Yeah. I can't even imagine. I've got to drive an R2,
Yeah.
and it's crazy.
A Rally 2? Like
yeah, like
just one step
yeah,
below.
and like
Unreal.
and to
Yeah.
go further than that.
Yeah.
With the anti-lag and all this stuff that
Yeah.
that's
And you have to have a skill set to be able to.
Oh, no doubt.
To, even like take that thing a little bit down the road. But that is like peak dream to be able to drive one of those. But then, yeah, of course, going back and like, the peak level Lancia Delta Integrale,
yeah,
Audi Quattro,
right. Just all the cool
The
iconic rally
2005 Subaru WRC car that I got to watch on
Yeah.
Speed Channel,
Yeah, the
that started this
Sullenberger,
whole
yeah.
fire.
cars.
All those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every rally car is my dream rally car.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on.
Yeah,
here.
absolutely. Thanks for having
look
me.
forward to having you out some more, and look forward to your success on your new brand, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.